All right, we're live now for the mid-year stream for Creators Talk in 2019, and we've got a newbie on the stream with us today. She's a fellow writer and comic book artist. It's Paula.
Hello.
My other favourite artist, Peter.
Hello.
My favourite Wombat.
Good morning.
And finally, is a man who gets a special introduction. He's been with us since 2015 doing various streams and so forth, and there's never been a dull moment without him. But we've always done our best to try and catch him out, but could never do it because there's never been a topic he hasn't had an answer for until the end of last year, where we mentioned a short topic, or what I thought was going to be a short topic, that completely blew his mind. And the first time we caught him out in about 4 or 5 years. And for anyone that wants to know what it sounds like when a man's brain skids to a halt and has a job to get going again, here's the clip.
Of course, another factor in these numbers is also the stupid amount of variant covers they do for the first issues alone. I mean, I've got a few numbers here because I didn't want to go silly, but Fantastic Four had 30 variants for issue 1.
What?
Yeah. And this
really?
this is before the second and third printings and so forth.
Holy shit.
Venom had 27. Spider-Man had 34, and Captain Marvel had 9.
Dude, that reminds me of, remember when Gen 13 came out? Remember
Yeah.
that
Gen 13, yeah.
I think there was
Once upon a time, a variant meant something because it was generally a case of it was a lottery of which stores would get which one of these variants. There were most were maybe 5 or 6.
Wait for it.
So you had to be incredibly lucky to land the one you were looking for.
Chewing skills.
Now they've made that
Listen.
entirely pointless.
Yeah.
34 variants. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. Like that literally. Okay, I fucking wow. I'm just
It's one of the few times Scott found something to say about it.
Okay, well here's the thing though. Are you?
So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Scott.
Wow, I just got the fucking dime dropped on me just then.
As soon as you did that stream, I thought to myself, I'm going to remind him of that because it's the first time, if ever, I've heard a man's brain just go and stop. Oh, wow.
Pretty sure you can smell the burnt rubber from here.
Yeah, seriously.
So, appreciate that memory, Scott. It's going to be one of my favourites for streams for a long time to come.
The poor little hamster fell out of his wheel over that one.
You're not wrong.
Oh,
You're definitely not wrong.
All right. Well, to get started then, we return, as always, to crowdfunded comics and Comicsgate as well. We actually started seeing some releases this year from the Comicsgate crew, such as, of course, Jawbreakers, Graveyard Shift, Lone Star, and Bigfoot Bill. Trickling out slowly but surely, but at least they are coming out now. I got my copy of Jawbreakers, and it was one of the ones that had been caught up in the shit packaging, and I was not happy, but it's an all right read at the same time. And we had a ton of new projects released as well. I haven't written down numbers or anything for a lot of them because there's so many popping out now. It's difficult to keep track, but to name a few that I've got ones here: Lone Star, Soul of the Soldier, The Case of Littlest Umbrella, Monster MD, Gunship Thunder Punch, I love that name, Doom Kicker, and Shinobi Sasquatch have been all released and all funded. Besides Shinobi Sasquatch, those ones have been over 200% funded each time. The Comicsgate machine shows no signs of slowing down, does it?
Well, no, because this is them finding a way to release all this creativity that's essentially as much as I hate the term, was being gatekept by the existing industry. So good on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see a lot of these new projects. I signed up to get Monster MD. Yeah, it looks hilarious.
Yeah, I like the story premise for that one.
Oh yeah, it's got a lot of like gallows humor in it.
Yeah.
What you find in the middle of the night in the ER.
You sound like you know what you're talking about there. I'm afraid to ask almost.
Well, not me personally, but all the good stories get like traded around several times through my family.
Mm.
You know what this is kind of great. What's kind of great about all this is, for me personally, it's very reminiscent of when I was growing up. In the punk rock scene, basically, because the ethic was DIY. It was do it yourself, and it's great that the internet has reached a point where it can facilitate this kind of thing where creators aren't dependent on large publishers and all these other. God, my fucking volume keeps going up like crazy. I don't understand this fucking thing, dude. Sorry.
It's yo-yoing a bit there.
Oh yeah, it's fucking. I'm watching. It's just jumping all over the place. It's really fucking ridiculous. It won't stop. But it's great that the internet has facilitated the ability for people to actually be their own boss and to take these things into their own hand. And I love the fact that people are actually doing this now because they're seeing that in the current climate, it's become nearly impossible for some people to put their artwork out there.
Yeah,
and through traditional means. So this is fantastic. I think this is great, and I think this is where comics art and publishing is heading even more so now. And this, honestly, I really hate to be the the boy who's saying the sky is falling on the comics industry, but it's hard not to see it as that. It really is.
We'll get into that shortly. But of course, just outside of Comicsgate, Doug TenNapel, while still friendly with the whole Comicsgate movement, did step away from it to make the Earthworm Jim graphic novel. At the time of this recording, it had a target of $12,000, but has so far raised over $300,000.
Really?
Yes. I've been critical of this though, and even had a little exchange with Doug himself about it because of the structure of this graphic novel, which is a hardcover, I think. The postage is more than the book itself. Yeah, I know. I mean, example, I looked at the Superfan hardcover, which is quite a bulky book by the look of it. And the postage for it was $65.
Really?
And to add it all up, it's $135, which translates to £107 for UK customers. And I thought, I can't justify spending that sort of money. And a few people have said this to him as well, which he has defended it, to be fair, because he says it is a quality product. But at the same time, I can't justify that kind of spending.
Is he hand delivering it to everybody?
I do think so for that price.
I mean, fucking seriously, $65 bucks? That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Even
what it is, it's 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 hardcover. It's got foil. It's got actual high quality paper inside.
Yeah, but that's the product, though. We're talking about shipping. I mean, I've been shipping stuff worldwide.
But shipping's beyond Doug's control, though. That's the problem is because it's cover the weight of the item and the rest of it.
Here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
Is he an American?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in America, we have this thing called Media Mail, where you can ship books, and most people that ship books do it through Media Mail, and it is incredibly inexpensive.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then I would suggest drop Doug a line and just let him know about it. He might just not know.
Yeah.
About it.
Oh, yeah. Right? Seriously, for real.
Yeah.
Because I've been selling things online, and I've sent my own kits and things to every corner of the earth.
Yeah.
And there's never been an instance where even sending stuff to Japan or New Zealand or wherever the fuck it's going that I've ever had shipping issues like that, even on large items. I mean, that's a little bit.
Yeah, well, again, he just might not know any better. So yes, drop him a line and say, "Hey, Doug,
that's been my sticking point for quite a lot of the Comicsgate comics I've wanted to support. It's like once I've had the money together, I've basically gone in there and actually sourced it out of even just the basics. Say it's like $25 and you get your book plus a few extra goodies.
Mm-hmm.
Once you factor in the exchange rate on that, then postage, it immediately goes completely out of my range of what I could afford, reasonably afford for what I'm getting. Say like $25 turns into nearly 40 just on its own, and then postage. So, yeah.
Because I was looking at what was it? There was one Andrew Herter was doing. I forget its name now. Sovereign, that's it. And I wanted to get the book itself, but again, postage made it. Just thought, no, this is not worth it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like where this is going, but for international supporters, it's kind of a stretch.
Oh yeah, I used to work in shipping in my family business, and we didn't package up books. We didn't use media mail for anything, but media mail's got a ton of restrictions on it as well. Really? Anything with advertising in it, or if it's a book, it has to have a USB number, not a USB. Good gracious, the ISBN number.
ISBN, yeah.
There we go. Hang on. Well, I had to hook up a headset and stuff.
Okay.
So all my acronyms are like jumbled up.
Yeah.
You know, they say that though,
the
but they never
ISBN
check
instead
that
of
kind
the
stuff, though.
UPC number, which I have a UPC on my comic. But yeah, that you can't send like advertising materials through media mail, and it actually says specifically on the sign at the post office, because I went and looked. Comic books can't be sent media mail. Graphic novels can, though.
Okay, that's weird.
So because they'll have the ISBN on the back, and they don't have advertising in them.
Okay, then. All right, and the next book to talk about is, of course, Soulbound. The story of a med student sucked into a fantasy realm with the goal on Kickstarter of $500. It raised just over 1,000, 201% funded. And of course, it's by Paula here. Paula, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And how is it coming along?
Well, not bad at all. I had the book complete before I started the campaign, so all I needed to do was pay for the printing. And I went through Alterna Comics printer partnership program, and because they'll print it on newsprint, it's very reasonable, it's lightweight, it'll ship a little cheaper, and so that's why I could afford to only set my goal for $500, and it just blew me away that I made twice that much on
newsprint paper. That brings back some memories, doesn't it, Scott?
Oh my gosh, dude! It's sitting here at my feet. I've got a Foot Locker filled with fucking 70s era and 80s era X-Men books and all kinds of other shit like that. So I got plenty of newsprint.
Yeah, and the coloring, I really have high hopes for the coloring. I just saw Peter had opened up his shipment of comics, and my comics in that run. You can see it on
I saw it.
Twitter. And I'm just really excited because he had my cover looks good. There's mine's on the far right, and when he had all the comics opened up, mine's still on the far right. It was a page that I was actually kind of worried about because I don't know what I'm doing. And so I did all the colors, and I was really worried about the saturation levels. And it looks like it actually turned out really well. I just really don't want it to be muddy. So I can't wait to get my comics and open them up and compare them to what's on my screen, so I know what's doing what.
Oh, I hope it works out, because obviously I was a backer of this project, so I'm looking forward to receiving my copy.
Oh goodness, I'm looking forward to seeing my copies.
Now,
so I'm so jealous of you guys with the whole. I have all those collection of paperback comics and especially all the newsprint ones, because where I grew up, if you said about comics, you basically got looked at like, "What's that?" It's like it's what you get for living in a little podunk town.
Well, I have a stack of Archies from a grocery store in Georgia, and that was my comics.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I had was basically Archie comics and my brother and cousins' collections of Foot Right Flats and Garfield comics.
Oh, God,
for anyone not aware, Foot Right Flats is a
Garfield. That brings back memories. Garfield, wow.
They also had my cousins also had one that I don't think's really heard of outside of Australia or New Zealand, which was Snake.
All right, and of course, on the bad side of all this, Peter Simeti, which you just previously mentioned, and Edwin Boyette were both swatted That Umbrella guy was threatened with having CPS called on him. The YouTuber Yellow Flash had someone attempt to dox him by sending him an inactive mobile phone. And Doug TenNapel had and I quote, journalist from Polygon suggest he wasn't going to be able to cover the Earthworm Jim game because he would find it tricky with TenNapel's involvement. It's very strange and sad to see these sort of things happening. It really shows the ugliness of social media at times.
And no, it shows. I'm not on social media anymore.
Yeah, I know.
No, it shows the ugliness of a certain side of social media. And again, the Polygon going, that just how much of that is the whole mafia threat? Oh, gee, I can't seem to cover your thing because it's a bit troublesome.
Yeah.
Maybe if you bent the knee and kissed the ring, we might be able to work something out.
Yeah, because I saw that conversation. The guy said to him, "You're a journalist. Do your job. If you can't cover it fairly, excuse yourself from it." And I know. I should use journalist really. And,
don't be on that one again.
Yeah, and the guy responded, "Don't tell me how to do my job." And I thought, well, obviously someone needs to.
Yeah, it's like, it's again, this is same old stuff.
Yeah,
it's more or less. It's like someone needs to. It's like, no, you need to actually go back and learn what your job actually is because you seem to have completely forgotten.
You know what's funny about this is that as much as we see this stuff on Twitter and all that kind of thing, and I've completely gotten off of social media at this point.
Scott, I totally understand why you have, mate. I honestly do.
It's just terrible. And I basically just hang out on Discord and talk to people in there. But I actually had something happen yesterday where I was talking to somebody in one of the Discords I'm in, and they started on this thing. They're like, oh God, Joe Rogan is so fucking stupid. He had some right-wing guy on there and he's such an idiot. And I'm like, what? I'm like, well, Joe Rogan is verifiably not stupid. He's actually a fairly intelligent guy. I mean, and the fact that he had somebody right-wing on his show, it's just like, what's the problem with that?
Yeah, he has a range of people on his show, doesn't he?
Exactly. And she goes, well, he shouldn't be giving these people a platform. And I was just like, oh, fuck's sakes, man. And this is like a 20-year-old girl. And I'm just like, that generation is so fucked. Like and I was like, look, as somebody who was, a journalist who worked in journalism, I find that kind of attitude abhorrent. I find it absolutely disgusting. And when I see that kind of stuff on Twitter, it's just like you said, like the guy from Polygon or people from Kotaku or any number of these websites that engage in that kind of, I call it thinking, but it's not really thinking. It's just, it's a reaction to their group, to their social,
it's partisanship.
It's partisanship. There you go. That's a good way of putting it. But yeah, it's fucking. I was just like, I was really taken aback when she started saying that, like the thing about giving a right-wing person a platform, and I'm like, you realize he's doing an interview, he's engaging people, and he's putting ideas out there. And I put forth the idea too. It's like a lot of times on Rogan, he does something that's actually very masterful. He actually has people on there that are fucking kooks, and he gives he gives them the rope and lets them hang themselves. And
he's
pretty fucking good at it.
Because he had Tom DeLonge on from Tom DeLonge from Blink-182, and of course DeLonge loves his UFO conspiracy theory.
And
they watched one.
Let him do his thing.
Yeah, they watched one which was blatantly fake, and DeLonge goes, "Amazing, right?" And Rogan's just looking at him like he's gone out. It's one of the best things I've ever seen in my life.
And the thing that's great about Rogan is too, he doesn't pull a punch on it either. He's just like, you're fucking crazy. He's totally upfront with people.
Oh, that's because I remember everybody had the guy from Adam Ruins Everything on there, and
that was a great one.
Owned him. It was just it was just glorious. And Joe does not, he doesn't give him softballs. He's just like, no, you're provably false, and
guy doesn't suffer fools. Essentially.
No, but that more than anything though, he's honest about it. He is something that you don't see in journalism today, which is a big problem. Is that there's a very big lack of honesty and accountability when within certain circles, if you will. Yeah. And Rogan is great because he talks to people, like they're a person. He doesn't he doesn't shout them down. He lets them bring their own ideas and, express them, and lets them hang themselves if they're going to do it, and, whatever. So it's,
Yeah. So to drag it back to the topic.
Well, it was on topic. I just got
in the interest of fairness, we have to cover other crowdfunded efforts outside of Comicsgate. The first one, the writer Kwanzaa Ojiefo, if I'm saying his name right.
Jesus.
Hang on. In 2016, he brought out he funded his graphic novel Black, which, if I remember rightly, is about a world where black people have superpowers, only black people have superpowers, and it was 306% funded, which is fair play to him. He followed it up earlier this year with its sequel White, but only managed 117% funding, not even half of what Black made. Which was very noticeable compared to how some of the Comics Beat stuff is made. Comicsgate, beg your pardon. And then we had Deadbeats. Hang on, God's sake, I don't want to jump in here. Featuring a list of over 20 creators, including Kwanzaa, Mags Versaggio,
44.
Whatever. Kwanzaa, Mags Versaggio, and for some strange reason, old Renfamous herself, Lauren Cooper. Now, the book was 135% funded, and they obviously thought they were going to get a lot more for it because they set stretch goals up to 40,000, but only just managed to get the first one. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that is a very prime example of people are getting tired of this stuff. It's wearing thin. Their audience is a very niche and tiny audience, and they don't ever back up what they're saying with their.
No, I mean, but what it struck me about this is that these sorts of funded efforts, they're deliberately progressive. It comes across to me as, whereas the stuff that I've seen from Comicsgate, they just want to tell a story. I mean, as an example, when that Umbrella guy, he did a comic, The Littlest Umbrella, which I think just a story for his daughter, if I'm not mistaken. And
he's done two. Essentially, they're both, one's dedicated to his daughter, and the other one's sort of based on little tales she tells. But both of them essentially for his daughter.
But I think he asked for something like $6,000, and he made it past 80 in the end. Whereas these sorts of efforts can only just get past their funded goals, and that's very telling to me.
Yeah, because people are sick of it one way or the other. Because what was the other stuff? The sort that Vox Day and that were doing, where they were essentially doing the right-wing version of the we're going to make comics. Oh, we want politics out of comics, so we're just going to make politics that are comics with our politics, not theirs. And same problem, right? People just comics and this sort of stuff are escapism. So everyone just wants to escape this stuff, like Scott escaping social media because of the bullshit. Everyone else is just like, we do not want we do not want politics, of any stripe. We just want to have good fun, stories that we can read. We want to be entertained.
And, it's one thing. Oh, go ahead.
Hang on, another point to that is what they were pushing in the books for like Deadbeats is what's already being pushed by like the mainstream, especially the worst offender right now is Marvel.
Yeah.
And in the case of that, it's a case of you got a choice of whether you buy that or not. The store's case of they just get shoved with comics. But when you do it in crowdfunded, that's when it really shows who's actually buying your comics, which in this case is pretty much no one. That's why they never reached they reach their goals, like usually at the very last minute, but they don't exceed them.
Yeah.
And just real quick too, and fuck, I
go
what I was going to say. Just that quick, son of a bitch. Record that and play it back to me in a year.
Yeah, I will. Don't worry.
God damn
it. I'll move on in the meantime. First of all, Marvel Comics. Not a fantastic year so far. Titles such as Squirrel Girl, Gwenpool, The Unstoppable Wasp, and X-23 have all been shit-canned. Most likely due to low sales. I mean, X-23's latest issue, where she's fighting to save a trainload of turkeys, and I'm not making that up, by the way. Sold just over 21,000 units, which is, of course, cancellation territory. It's starting to show now, isn't it?
Yeah, once upon a time, cancellation territory was going below 10,000.
Yep.
Once upon a time, cancellation territory was going below 100,000. Those were the halcyon days of the 90s.
Yeah. And of course, Captain Marvel was relaunched this year. I can't imagine why.
For the millionth time.
Yeah, well, 9th series, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
With 22 variants for the first issue, featuring
You are trying to break his brain.
Yeah, featuring one that was retailing for $125.
I can't see that lasting. That's a floor that's gonna fall out before too long.
Yeah,
it already has.
Yeah, it has.
This is the ninth reboot in what, 3-4 years?
Something like that. I've not.
Yeah, you know what the problem with a lot of that stuff is, though. It's like that. It's a big problem with eBay. You have people that actually, like, goddamn, I saw a lot of people doing this back in the day, and it's still happening now. But there are a lot of spurious, if you will, auctions that happen where things sell for really high prices, and you know, and it gets a little heat under them for a hot second, and then people are like, "Wait, what the fuck? No."
Yeah,
that shit. Yeah, a lot of that stuff's fucking bogus.
Yeah. Now. Man. Of course, as with previous Marvel re-releases, the numbers speak for themselves. Issue 1 went for just over 111,000 copies. Issue 2, just over 37,000 copies. Issue 3, 30,000. And then the current issue, last issue I got numbers for, which was 5, went for 26,000 units, edging towards cancellation territory. But I don't think they'll cancel it because of how popular the character is in the movies now. I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
Yeah, may I?
Yeah, well, all I say is I think it will be a very bad PR move if they do, but they can't at the same time. If I get my point across there.
Right. Well, here, let me share an anecdote with you. Okay.
Go on.
Something that I do. I live like directly behind a Walmart. I'm like 300 yards behind a Walmart. Okay.
Okay.
And something I do to kill a little time, I go in there. I look for Hot Wheels cars because I'm a fucking dork, right? So I basically go up there every day just because it's right there. I go look for new Hot Wheels cars and just walk around and whatever, you know, just fucking killing time. And unless the people working at Walmart are just on top of it. Just on top of the job, just making sure the stock is filled up to the fucking tip tops of the fucking shelves. It really doesn't look like Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel DVDs and Blu-rays are selling all that much, to be honest with you.
We'll get to that in a bit.
Looks like they haven't sold any at all.
We'll get to that in a bit.
Okay.
All right.
I just wanted to share that because I got a little chuckle out of it.
Yeah, I bet you. Well, I did as well because I saw a lot of the end of aisle sales stands rammed with these copies of the Blu-ray. I thought,
Yeah.
Anyway, DC Comics, not a good start of the year for them. A bizarre story popped up back in April, which was highly disrespectful at the same time. Some of the graphic novels they published featuring the artwork of the late great Michael Turner had the art around the arses of the female characters, including Wonder Woman, expanded to cover more bare skin. And the touched up art, no pun intended there, stuck out like a sore thumb in some cases. And I just looked at this and thought, what the hell? So I'll pose this to the artists in the room first. If you had found out someone had touched up your art like that, I think you'd be offended, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I would think it's hilarious. There was this funny thing in college. I took an education class.
Yeah.
And the teacher was saying that Maurice Sendak's books. What was it? In the Night Kitchen. She said that all the librarians would get this book because it was recommended, and then they'd draw little shorts on the little boy in one of the pages.
Oh, for God's sake.
And that's just my every time I see those retouched the retouched comics, that's what my mind goes to. Those prudish librarians with the Sharpies.
Oh, for God's sake. All right, and a bit of a sad story now. It was announced this week that Vertigo is shutting down.
I am legitimately angry about that.
I'll read out some bits first. And
didn't we call that though last time?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we did.
I was going to say I'm pretty sure we fucking put a pin on that.
Hard to see why with such an amazing range of comics. But
oh yes, wonderful comics. Like let's see here, Border Town.
Let me just get through.
It was a sex abuser.
Yeah. Not a single comic shipped over 10k units for their second issue of the series that were released from Vertigo.
Shocking.
Yeah, obviously I got numbers for Goddess Mode now because we talked about it last year. It had only just come out. Issue 1 did well. It sold just over 17,000 units. Issue 2, 8,000. And the last issue sold just over 5,000 units, all while suffering. All while suffering continuing lateness. Hex Wives, about the intersectional feminist witches, was cancelled after issue 6. And a comic called Safe Sex by Tina Horn and Mike Dowling was not even scheduled for release.
Wow.
See, for me, this pisses me off on various levels because I remember when Vertigo was good, right? Again, I can Preacher, Transmetropolitan.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my bookcase. I'm looking at all these Vertigo ones that I bought and loved. Hellraiser, Constantine, and then Vertigo went woke, and it's gone broke. It's just really tragic. Vertigo was where they put all the stuff that was not DC, DC Universe stuff, but just had really interesting stories and characters. And then it just ended up, the CEO, was it Karen Berger, left, and it just went to shit. It's really, really, I'm just genuinely mad about it.
And
Vertigo was the gold standard for longest time.
It was.
Yeah. I especially like the Transmetropolitan and like Sandman.
Yeah.
But so the excuse they're giving?
No, I missed this.
They're basically like, oh well, the children can't tell the difference between Vertigo and DC. Oh. They're getting so confused. Hence why we released Black. The one that we basically printed Batman's dick under.
Yeah, because DC is also said they'll be restructuring their comics into 3 divisions. DC Kids, that'll go well. DC Regular for 13-year-olds and plus, and obviously DC Black.
Something like that, didn't they?
I don't know. And DC Black Label for 17 plus.
Yeah,
because they used to have the Batman animated books and the Superman animated books and all those kind of things. I thought they actually had a division for a kids division already.
I don't remember.
No, they were all printed under normal DC's title.
Okay.
And finally,
what's peeving me off is 1993 it started, 2019 it dies, all because of wokeness.
Yeah. And in other news, Tom King was removed from writing Batman, not completing his 100-issue run after the series didn't do very well after the infamous non-wedding issue. I wasn't aware of anybody on Twitter that was sorry to see this happen, which is strange.
But he was subverting expectations.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I think King was aware of his criticism because he tweeted about a conversation he had in the back of an Uber driver's car. And the guy says to him, "You write Batman?" He says, "Yeah." "What, like Court of Owls?" "No, that's Scott Snyder." "What about The Metal?" "That was so good." "Also Scott Snyder." "Grim Knight?" "That's badass." "It is, but no." "Oh, what'd you do?" And King goes, "Did you hear about the wedding?" Long pause. And the driver goes, "Dude, why'd you fuck that up?" So I will give him his dues. He's obviously aware of the criticisms. So, I'll play fair with him on that one.
He's aware of the criticisms, but he still did a whole heap of bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
See, he didn't get kicked out of the Uber.
Yeah,
right. And pull over and go, "Get out."
Here's kind of a tough thing, though, and I try to give people a little bit of leeway because, you're dealing with one of the biggest properties in history.
Yes.
You're dealing with Batman. You're dealing with, almost 100 years worth of stories, basically, at this point, of expectations and of fan demands and fan wants. And when you come onto a book, you want to make your mark. You want to leave an impression. You can't necessarily be Frank Miller. You can't necessarily be Neil Adams. You can't necessarily be those guys. But you want to make your mark, and it's a daunting task to take on that job because there is a lot of expectation, obviously.
Yeah,
and you could fuck it up very easily, as it would.
Yeah, but the thing is with that storyline.
Yeah, you don't play the game of subverted expectations with something that's so old and so popular and so set in stone.
And
right, and the great thing about that though is that DC actually had the Elseworld tales for fucking decades now, where it's like where they could let artists and writers play around with that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but it's just like you gotta kind of have a you kind of gotta have a understanding that there's a certain expectation of what is supposed to happen and what should happen, and when you stray too far, you get fucked.
Yeah. But I read that issue because my comic guy put it aside for me, and when I read the end, I thought, you can't be serious.
Right?
You can't spend 20 odd issues building up to it and have it end like that.
Yeah.
So
it's like Game of Thrones, basically.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Jon Snow, he's the one. He's gonna solve everything. Or not.
Yeah.
Or not.
Right.
It's like, what?
So to come to Image Comics. Now this one I think we did call last year as well, which was the eventual fate of Man-Eaters. The series is coming to an end after Kane admitted it had been, and I quote, financially ruinous. The latest issue sold just over 7,000 units. And she got a lot of heat on social media after she put a couple of critical tweets of Man-Eaters in an issue of the comic.
Same difference.
And the mob came for her, labeling her a TERF. And for those who don't know, that stands for trans exclusionary radical feminist. And chased her off Twitter. And also it was ironic to watch sites like Bleeding Cool, CBR, and Comics Beat, who'd once done their best to support her, turn around and join in the mob.
Wait, is it surprising, really?
No, but the thing is, I genuinely felt for her on this one because she was telling a story she wanted to tell. And again, I certainly wasn't for me, but she was pandering to the very people that eventually came for
very
it.
nice. She's telling a story she wants to tell, but she's doing it in a market that's not meant for it.
No.
She's basically trying to go, I want to tell my story. You are going to read it. You are going to love it. And if you don't, I'm going to scream. Which she kind of did. And then she got turned on, and as they do, because they love to eat their own.
Yes. But again, part of me felt for her. I don't know why, but I felt sorry for her that she had to go through that.
I mean, it's basic human empathy. Nobody, we don't want to see. Well, I mean, okay, I say we, but there are some people. Some people do it. Wombat wants to see this kind of stuff. Yeah, absolutely does. But I mean, people as an artist and as creators, everybody here knows that you don't set out to make something bad necessarily.
No,
you want people to like it. You want to find a place where you can, be like, hey, you know what? People got this. They tuned into it. I found an audience that feels the same way, or they found value in what I'm doing. And so you see that it's like, ooh, that sucks, because and especially with social media, because it gets so blown out of proportion where you have this handful of people that can just turn a fucking mob onto everybody, and just the kind of blowback you get from that is fucking astronomical. It's crazy, and that can really fuck a lot of people up, unfortunately, because they don't know how to deal with it.
But it made it. The part of it was people were saying that the tweets were printed without the writer's permission. And I thought, well, hang on a minute. Twitter's an open platform.
Twitter.
Yeah,
exactly.
You put a tweet, it's out there. What the hell is without permission?
There's no
stealing my tweets. It's like I still tweets all the damn time.
Yeah,
stealing memes. I mean, what is this? Come on.
Yeah. All right, and then IDW, they relaunched Transformers this year.
Oh God.
Well, I've been reading it because I thought I want to see this.
Yeah.
And
No, actually, what you've been reading is old issues from a while ago. Because as soon as you told me the story, I'm like, that's very old.
Shit. All right. Well.
You're not reading the latest stuff, because the latest stuff, the current writers, who I'm pretty sure have already been fired, basically tried to shove in literal Transformers.
Okay. No.
I'm saying this with a straight face.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
They just go, Transformers, more than meets the eye. It's a trap, Megatron.
And this also, while they apparently lost 3.7 million in lost sales
this year.
But they've got a way that they're going to make back all that money and more.
Yeah, sure.
They're going to be turning the Mueller report into a graphic novel.
Oh God!
Are you serious?
I am completely
I saw
serious.
something about that.
Really?
Completely serious. They announced it on Twitter when I was reading yesterday regarding someone doing an article regarding their 3.7 million loss, and then right under that, by the way, this is what they think's going to save them.
Oh, no.
Yeah, sure thing. See you there, friend.
Yeah, see you there.
Good luck with that.
All right. And moving on, we've got a couple of new topics to the stream. First one is individual controversies. Now, I wasn't going to bother putting this in at first, but these 4 examples are stuff that we have talked about one for another on the stream. So I thought it'd be worth mentioning. And the first one was James Gunn, rehired to direct Guardians 3. Now, as far as I was concerned, there were 2 reasons this could have happened. One, they realized they weren't going to get the movie without him. Or 2, they didn't really fire him. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's what I said last time. They've looked at any other possible director, the stable of possible directors to do go. They've run their numbers and gone, we have to get Gunn to do it, otherwise it's going to be a flop, right?
Yeah, because even Bradley Cooper told him to fuck off at one point, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, I said that last time we talked about it. I was like, I don't think they fired Gunn at all. I think they basically were like, all right, we're going to have a cooling off period here. We're going to basically like the kind of thing they did with what's his nuts at Alamo when they fired him. But then
Devin Faraci. Yeah,
Faraci. Thank you. Sorry, I couldn't remember his name for a second. Fucking Faraci. Anyway, but I mean, basically, I think they look, Kevin Feige and Marvel, they know, I mean, their track record is pretty fucking good. They know what sells, they know what they've got, and they know that they couldn't afford to lose Gunn. I mean, he fucking took the Guardians of the Galaxy, a bunch of fucking horseshoes, and turned them into a gold goddamn brick. Yeah. I mean, just fucking nobody cared about Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, give me a fucking break, man. They have been DNF listers since they fucking came out.
Yeah,
and
they've had
turned them into a viable money-making property, and they know that nobody, like Wombat said, that when you look at the fucking stable of directors that are available, there is nobody that could do what he did. I mean, there's just not. There's just nobody else that could do the thing that he did. It just would not work. It just wouldn't work. Plain and simple.
And Guardians has its fandom, but they're a niche fandom. They're not on the same levels.
I mean,
like a lot of the other, like Iron Man and whatnot.
It's very
and the second one is one of the more darker stories to come out this year. And this was Vic Mignogna. And the attempt to Mignogna, beg your pardon, and the attempt to essentially destroy his life over social media. And again, going back to what you said about it, Scott. Yeah. Now, Peter, I know you have kept more of an eye on this than I have. So do you want to take the lead on this one?
It's essentially a case of his co-workers got a twig up their ass and decided they didn't like him, and it's heavily implied because he's quite the religious man, mainly Christian. And thus they decided, you know what, we don't like him. He's too Christian. He's too successful. We're going to destroy him because.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently he's like a hugger. You can't hug.
Yeah.
But he only hugs when he's asked to. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, you're safest doing the Keanu Reeves thing.
Yeah.
The hover.
But, so essentially, I've been following this as well. So essentially, also, you know, he was bringing up the Christian thing. He was trying to turn the other cheek for as long as he could, and the Torch and Pitchfork mob, you know, were outrightly defaming him in the legal sense. And now he tried to ignore it for as best he could, but then it got to the point where studios were sacking him, canceling contracts. They were basically trying to unperson him. Yeah. He got approached by a lawyer. Was it Ty Beard first?
Yeah, I think it was Ty Beard.
Nick Recader initially spoke to him, and then Ty Beard was monitoring all this kind of stuff going on Twitter, and he basically saw his opportunity with Vic in stepping in and going, no, we're going to make an example out of these people.
Mm-hmm.
This shit has to stop.
It's not legal to do what they were doing to him.
It is the definition of this is exactly what defamation law is created for.
And also, they've now stepped into Torch's interference with some other shit they've done once they've actually started investigating regarding his contracts to do appearances at various cons.
Yeah, and at the time of this stream, the court case is still underway, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Current update is that the Ty Beard has slammed the foot down because the other side's, I think it's Casey something, he kept basically going, oh, yes, we have evidence. Okay, you've got 30 days. We need longer. Okay, judge has gone, okay, fine, I'll give you up to 50. Okay, that ran out.
Yeah.
And Ty Beard's gone, okay, discovery, please. No, discovery now, please. Well, we don't want to disclose those young women's names. It's like, I gave you the option weeks ago that for this disclosure to black out their names and not have any names mentioned until the court decides one way or the other whether they want these names or not to appear as witness. You said no to that.
Go on, Scott. You want to say something?
Yeah. This is actually really, really interesting because it shows where stories start to break down and how people are very unreliable witnesses.
Yeah.
There's this one instance, and I don't remember.
In this case, there are none.
Well, but yeah, there you go. But there's this one girl, and I can't remember what her name was. So apologies here. I'm gonna paraphrase a lot. But basically, it's this girl was talking about. She's like she basically Me Too'd Mignola, and she's like, oh yeah, he was really touchy with me, and he did this, that, and the other, and blah 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 blah. And she was really, she made this YouTube video, and she played it up super super hardcore about how gross he was and how handsy he was, and this, that, and the other. And somebody actually had video of it, not her video, but had their own video that they were also making at the time. And these are like, he was at a fan meet and greet, right? Basically is what was going on. And it was this guy and this girl. And she was like, oh, he was so disgusting. He was doing all this. And this dude posted the video, was like, yeah, what you said, none of that happened. And they showed it. And he's an entertainer. He's schmoozing basically, and he put his hands on her shoulders, and he's laughing, and they're joking around and doing all this, and she's laughing and joking around, and he's doing the same thing to the guy. He put his hands on the guy's shoulders, and he's laughing and joking around, and they're doing a little playing and all this kind of stuff. But the thing that was really telling about it was that this girl was telling this tale, basically. She was spinning tales about how disgusting and creepy he was, and she felt threatened and just awful and all this other. And when you watch this video, there's none of that. It just does not exist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's malicious. It's malignant people doing it for attention.
Well, that's basically taken another escalation recently, with some chick claiming back in, I think it was like late 80s, early 90s, that he was hired on at her church for doing plays and whatnot.
What?
And even came up with these photos, and everyone with half a brain's gone, something's not right about these.
Yeah. Some
sleuths on Reddit basically went, I'm going to put that through a few filters in Photoshop. It's fake. Yeah. Not to mention, when they contacted the church, they've gone, who?
Yeah, right.
No, we never hired this man. We never did that. We never hired this man. We didn't do that play in that year. That play didn't happen until the mid-90s.
Yeah. We can tell this is shopped. We can tell by the pixels.
Yeah. So obviously,
it wasn't just the pixels. His head was too big. The shadow they painted was obvious, and the color were wrong.
Oh God! All right, so obviously the court.
Anyone could look at it and go, "This does not look right." They've got light going in one direction. He's got light coming in another direction. You've literally painted that shadow in of him leaning up against that over this like fireplace, and everyone saw it's gone. This is not right.
So obviously at the time,
first shop.
Yeah, obviously at the time of this stream, the court case is still ongoing. But at the end of the year, I should look forward to covering how it ends if it does. But
the way it's going right now, Nick Rekieta is very surprised at how fast it's actually moving through the court system, because I think it's sounding like the judge that's handling this is getting rapidly fed up with the other side.
So,
especially some wrangling they've tried to pull off. Oh, let's do discovery, but defendants want to do it first, so defendants can then take any discovery they get and basically twist it and spread it all over the internet.
Yeah.
And judge has gone, that's not how this works.
Yeah.
Prosecutor goes first.
The next controversy is one of the more famous ones, and all I've got to do is just say this guy's name. Jussie Smollett.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about Mark Wade. I'm like, wait, Jussie Smollett? What?
Again, Smollett is just like really, and the thing is, they're trying to get him. They're hiring him back on, and it's just like,
as I understood
it, they're going after him.
Good.
Another judge has stepped in and gone, that ruling, I'm tossing it out. We're starting again.
Yeah, because it makes me laugh to look at the whole thing in retrospect. It's like you said to me, Wombat, if the case sounds like an episode of Law and Order, something's up. And for those who don't know the story, he essentially, stop me if I'm wrong, someone. He claimed he'd been attacked by 2 Trump supporters in the city he lived in at 2:30 in the morning after he'd gone to get a Subway. Now,
during a polar vortex.
Yeah, during that time of the morning, it was
cold.
Yeah, it was -10 or something like that. There's no reason for him to be out that morning to get a Subway. And these 2 attackers, who he claimed were white, attacked him shouting, "This is MAGA country, bitch." Well, the state he was in, not only was it anti-Trump, but it also turned out the attackers were black.
And they were extras from
That
Black
was some
Panther.
polar vortex there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the extra Black Panther as well as extras from his show, was it Empire?
Yes, Empire.
And they're also basically taking turns railing him.
Yeah. And there's even video that's been shown of them buying the kit to do rope and mask and all that. But the way he got destroyed by some of the celebrities afterwards was brilliant, because there's that NBA halftime show or whatever it is with Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, and a couple of others. And they were making predictions for stuff that would never happen in some scenario. And someone said to Charles, "What do you think?" And Charles goes, two black guys beating the black guy up. And you can hear all the people behind the camera just start to crack up. And what makes it is Shaquille O'Neal when he starts laughing, because you can hear Shaquille O'Neal going throughout the whole thing. And it's brilliant, because also part of the story was he allegedly paid these guys with a check.
Yeah. And these guys used credit card to buy the stuff.
Yeah.
It was just,
Yeah.
And the fact that they've basically got photos of the 2 of their brothers, by the way, being all buddy-buddy and a bit more than buddy-buddy with him.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wasn't kidding when they said they took turns railing him.
Yeah. So, and the last one is kind of ties into Comicsgate, because it's Jim Jeffries. And after after he interviewed Richard Meyer, there were many claims that answers had been edited, and it was a hit piece, but no one could prove anything. But then Jeffries decided to interview. He decided to interview a YouTuber, Abby Yemeni.
in Australia, he's an Australian YouTuber.
Yes, and Yemeni suspected what he was in for, so he made 2 requests. He said, "I'll do your interviews, but you don't cut my answers and you don't tie me to any hate groups." And they said, "Okay." And Yemeni, before the interview started, he took a selfie with Jeffries as a way of getting his phone out. And when nobody was looking, he set it down next to his bag and put it on video record and recorded the interview. And sure enough, Jeffries chopped these answers and changed them, and even made some very objectionable comments, such as a joke about dingoes swallowing a Muslim baby, they probably throw it up. And that is what he said. The footage was uploaded, and Jeffries went silent, and then started blocking anyone that dared mention it to him. And even the section on his Wikipedia that talked about it was edited out.
And the YouTuber, actually, here's the funny thing. The YouTuber then, when the YouTuber was going back to the US for something else, Comedy Central basically called up American immigration and said nasty things about him and got him bounced from the States.
Yeah, I like, when I heard about that, I was like, Jim Jeffries?
Yeah.
What? Because, like, I don't know if folks are familiar with Jim Jeffries, but he's kind of a live wire as far as, like, his opinions and the things that he said. But, like, over the last couple of years, he's
sold his soul to Comedy Central.
Yeah.
He's taken a really hard social justice turn. It's just
sold
really
out. It's the classic example of he is sold out. Comedy Central's given him large amounts of money, and he's.
I think it's even more than that, though. I mean, it's like, because like it's not just sold out. It's just like, God, it just feels so much grosser than that. You know, it feels so much more disgusting than that, because like his entire career up to until the last 2 years basically has been being really raw and being really raunchy.
You're saying essentially like he sold his soul off to the highest bidder.
Yeah, the funny thing was, when you watch the clip of the Yemeni's phone, because he makes that horrible joke, and Yemeni says, "Oh, you need to cut that," and Jeffries goes, "Oh, don't worry, I'll never look bad on these." I thought, "You fucking do now." So yeah, I had to chip that one in there because I thought it would be funny to mention. Right, so on to the second new topic. Regular TV, which is something we don't usually discuss, purely because I think a lot of regular TV is shit. And we've got two instances to talk about of either end of the spectrum. And the first one, I know Scott's going to love this. The final season of Game of Thrones was aired this year.
Man.
And the reception was not good, especially besides the story itself and the way it ended, the continuity errors such as coffee cups and bottles of water being seen in the shots. But the reaction from the Game of Thrones fans, it was unlike anything I've seen before. There were petitions to actually I have seen this, petitions to rewrite it. Yeah. Where have I seen that before? And all the Star Wars fans going, "Hey, welcome to the club."
Yeah.
And
speaking of Star Wars fans, I find it ironic that Kathleen Kennedy is able to screw up franchises she's not even directly involved in.
Yeah. I think I'm right in saying they were supposed to end this after another 2 series, but when they got the Star Wars offer, the 2 guys were like, "We're gone."
Yeah.
Yeah. Essentially, HBO wanted at least 2 more seasons.
Yeah.
George R.R. Martin said it's going to need at least 10 more episodes to finish things out without, just rushing and stumbling and making an absolute god-awful mess. They did.
Yeah.
But these guys basically had Kathleen Kennedy go, after season 7, when they were doing 8, basically walked in and gone, "Oh, by the way, guys, when you're done with that, how do you feel like writing the next 3 Star Wars?" And they're like, "Fuck this shit, we're out."
Yeah. But I mean, even
their writing was already waning because people have gone back and looked over things with a bit more of a critical eye and taken off the rose-tinted glass, and they were wavering a bit by about season 5. They were starting to struggle a bit. That was mostly because they didn't have the book stuff to really feed from entirely, and we're going to have to fill in gaps. But that was still putting out a coherent story. The characters were still flowing and growing and still staying in character.
Yeah.
And then you get to season 8, and
I mean, even Sophie Turner got involved because she called it disrespectful when the fans did that petition, and I thought, I'm not.
At which point the fans basically went, "Bitch, step off."
Yeah,
dude. Look. If anybody really doesn't have much room to talk because they're not exactly what you would say a quality actress, it's Sophie fucking Turner.
Oh, don't worry, she'll be mentioned later. I can promise you that.
Oh yeah, no, right. It is kind of a bummer though because
absolutely.
This is like one of those things I looked forward to because I don't watch TV. I dislike serialized TV. Like I hate to wait. Like I'll wait till a show is over and then watch the whole thing. But like on a suggestion, I started watching Game of Thrones probably around season 2, I guess, and I was just like, holy shit, this is fucking really good. This is really interesting.
I'd had people recommend that I watch it, but I could just never get around to it. And now that this has happened, I'm really glad I didn't.
Well, I mean, here's the thing: don't let the last season devalue all the other stuff beforehand, because there's some really great storytelling in there. There's some interesting character development, some great settings. Obviously, there's a lot of value in it. But season 8 really feels like it's legitimately rushed. They obviously needed more time to develop the kind of things that they were trying to go for here.
Yeah.
Like stories are way too big to fit into just 8 episodes. And it really is a sad send off because this was a quality piece of television. Like I sincerely, I don't watch TV because most of it, like you said, it's trash. But this is actually something that actually had some value to it.
Yeah,
they squandered it and really kind of sucks.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like people have gone back and done their analysis, and right up to the end, all the characters are flowing nicely. The story was having its little hiccups, but it was still flowing along. Characters are still in character, all still evolving and growing. And then this is just basically like the writers basically turned around, dropped trowel, and basically dropped diarrhea and said, "Here's the script to it."
All right, and then to the other end of the spectrum where we had an amazingly good series done as a collaboration between Sky and HBO, and that was the Chernobyl miniseries, which has been rated as one of the best TV shows ever made. Apparently, even seeing a spike in signups to HBO after it was believed many had cancelled their service after the Game of Thrones finished. I was interested in this because I'd read a lot into the whole thing, and I sat down and watched the first 2 episodes, and I was blown away by the attention to detail and the obvious production value, because I thought, problem is you tell stuff like this, it never looks like the way you think it should. And one of my biggest concerns was, I wonder if they're going to show the reactor burning, because that'd be a hell of a shot. And they did, and it literally sent a chill up my spine when I saw it.
Yeah, I've seen that scene. I still haven't watched the series because I'm legitimately afraid of it. I was fascinated with it. Oh no, I've downloaded it and it's sort of sitting there, but I've got to be in the right mood for it because it's just going to be like, just emotional self-abuse sort of thing.
Yeah.
It is honestly, it's horrifying in places.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to ruin anything, but it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough,
but it's modern. It's postmodern horror. So I've seen a couple of good takes on it where people like it is postmodern horror.
Yeah, because the worst thing about it is that the enemy in all this is invisible.
Yeah.
And the first episode, there's a really chilling scene. I won't do any more spoilers after this, but there's a really chilling scene where the plant's on fire, and you've got these group of people from the neighborhood that have come to watch it on this bridge over a railway, thinking it's something to watch. And it goes quiet, and you can see the radioactive ash going through them, settling in their hairs. And I'm just thinking, oh shit!
And they're holding their babies, and
holding their babies, and
like,
obviously, as Scott just said, that bridge is now known as the Bridge of Death. Reportedly, nobody survived that. And even at the very beginning, there's a bit where one of the firemen picks up a bit of the graphite that's come out of the reactor. And I looked at that scene and thought, oh, he's fucked. And then it cuts back to it, and he's on the ground, and his hand is bright red and sizzling. Oh,
it's splitting open.
And
what they actually, what I wish they'd actually put in, which they didn't from the history of it, is you actually had a second team of firemen who went up on the roof.
Yes, they did.
They never came back. No, they never found them. They just completely disappeared. They reckon that they succumbed to the radiation and fell into the reactor.
Because there was no bodies, no trace of them.
Yeah. Oof. Now, obviously,
that's a great way to describe it, though. It's horror. It is. It is.
Yeah. Oh, my moment with that, seeing a clip from it was when the guy that was forced to go up on the roof. They could basically tell them, oh no, the roof's still intact, right? And I've not forgotten what the first thing that came to my mind was watching him shuffle up to the edge, and just thinking that he looked down to the abyss, saw hell itself, turned back, and he had the face of a dead man.
Yeah.
Because he was already starting to turn red. He was already starting to sweat. And by the time they cut to the next shot, he's pale, still very pink and sweating. And it's like, he's already dead.
Yeah. But there has been criticisms leveled at it. Because obviously you've got the actress Emily Watson, who's playing a composite character of a dozen or so scientists. And this has been labeled as diversity casting. Because apparently at that time, there's a legitimate thing behind it, because I was been speaking to a Lithuanian guy who I work with, and as he said to me, at the time there were not any women in that sort of prominent position in the USSR that would have been involved to that capacity. And I think Wombat and I have had a similar conversation, and at the end I did point out you can see a couple of women scientists in the group photo of the scientist she's representing. Right. At the same time, he said no, it didn't fit in with that time. Which is an interesting take.
Yeah, and this is hang on.
At the end of the series, they even say that
they do say it. Yes.
Yeah, hang on. Yeah, but hang on. This is my thing. Is they're saying I have no problem with the fact that she was a quote unquote composite character. Yeah. Right, which is fine. You need to do that for storytelling purposes. But I've had discussions with multiple people who've lived in the USSR at that time when it was still a thing, who've said, yes, there were women within that, but not at that level of that capacity. It just wasn't done. So it was just it's me being bloody a history nerd that I am. If it's immersion breaking, right? You just like.
But it is a good performance, though.
Yeah, I know. I'm not knocking her performance. The actress did a great job on the rest of it. But again, the writers, it just smacks of. And the thing is, if you watch the interview with the writer and the producers of it, they are woke as hell.
Yes.
Right. It was a deliberate. Again, it's especially in quote unquote current year. It smacks of it was a diversity pick. And if you know the history and the rest of it, and again, I was fascinated with the accident. Because I remember as a kid watching the actual images of the quote unquote bio robots.
Yes.
Picking up graphite from the top of the building and throwing it into the reactor, sort of thing. Yeah. I remember seeing the footage when it was actually happening. But yeah, it just really for me just breaks immersion because it's being done for quote unquote diversity reasons, not for historical accuracy.
because obviously also speaking to this friend of mine, he didn't like the fact that it was an English-speaking cast. But as I said to him, you've got to remember this is made. Yeah, you got to remember this is made for a Western audience.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, but that's not my biggest gripe with the whole thing. I said, what's your biggest gripe? And he said, well, he said, I swear I can see double glazing windows in some of those apartment buildings. And the thing is, I thought, no, he can't be wrong. But that night we watched the thing, it was episode 4. And I'll tell you what, I swear I can see them.
No, I get that. That's that's actually something like, if I was to watch it again, I would pick up on that too. That would actually bother me more than the character being a woman. Didn't even register.
Oh yeah, look again. It's just for me because I'm just such a history nerd about it. I'm like, it's just that it's not like, again, I'm not super raging about it, but it just sort of pings you out of the immersion for a second. You just, again, there's just that eye rolling of, oh, it's the diversity shit again.
Yeah. I mean, when I watched it though, I was just like, all right, they're going to be taking creative liberties here, so it's not like we're not watching a documentary per se.
No,
but no, there are so many chilling scenes in it. I mean, where the birds drop out the sky, the cloud heading towards Pripyat.
The cloud thing was great because, did you notice how the forest was actually turning all brown and is moving?
Yep, that's what happened. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I said to my missus, if they do a decent Blu-ray box set of it with some decent behind-the-scenes stuff, I'll buy it. But we'll see because I think it's out next month.
Oh, I think that's worth it. Yeah, I think it'd totally be worth it to get that for sure.
Okay, so on to our next one, our regular visit to the Disney Star Wars universe. Yeah, hang on. Right. Sad news to start off with.
Did you hear the news, though? There's good news.
Well, let me get through it.
Okay.
Because unfortunately, we start with the sad news that we lost Peter Mayhew.
Yeah.
May he rest in peace. The latest trailer for episode 9 was released, and reactions were varied that I saw. I wasn't remotely interested, and I saw a lot of people going meh, but a lot of people at the same time went cool. So fair play to them if they want to see it. And this ties into something Wombat mentioned last year. The Galaxy's Edge theme park resort in Disney World opened recently, and opened with the remaining cast of the original series photograph there, including Lucas, who really looked like he didn't want to be there. The prices that I've been hearing about coming out of this place, it's not a family holiday, that's for sure. The cantina drinks, for example, a beer platter costs $75.
Well, to be fair, though, it is a limited edition special glass that you get that is some kind of weird.
Couldn't give a shit for that price.
I know.
Yeah,
but the drink itself isn't $75. You're paying for the glass. You're paying for this special thing. This trinket.
There was a spicy fruit cocktail for $42. A non-alcoholic ginger ale and a collectible porg cup for $32. And you can even build your own personal lightsaber for $200. That sounds like
no better than what you get elsewhere, really.
Sorry, who went first there? You want to talk to once?
Paul, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, go on, Paula.
Oh yeah, you not only pay $200 for your lightsaber, but you got to pay your 4-hour wait for it too.
Not to mention it's proven to be not really anything much better than what you get elsewhere at Disney World.
Yeah.
And one of the funny things about it, talking about the 4-hour wait though, is that they actually, the way it's set up, which I thought this was hilarious, is that they have it cycle through. I think it's a 5-hour cycle where you go in and then you have to be out in 5 hours. Like you got to be out the door, and then they bring in a whole other group of people and they start them all back over again. It's like, what? That's kind of weird. It's like, especially if you're paying like this premium to go into this thing. It's like, wait, it's timed? Like, what the fuck's that about? Come on, man. That's kind of fucked up.
Yeah. I mean, the funny part about it was...
If I got to mention the vegan milkshakes, quote milkshakes of the blue and green milk.
Vegan milk
apparently were not particularly tasty.
Yeah.
It looked disgusting.
Yeah. It was also funny because the Collider podcast that's on YouTube, live on there, one of their hosts, Christian Harloff, kicked off a massive stink about not being invited for free as part of the press. And he said he was, yeah, and he said he was going to refuse to cover it. And it was even funny when his producer chipped in, yes, you are. He's like, no, I'm not. And they had a massive on-air row about it, which apparently has been taken down since. But I've seen the clip of it. And it's hilarious.
I've seen it, and all I could think was, my God, you were the epitome of a giant man baby. You were literally throwing a tantrum on air.
Because he said something like, I've been working hard being a massive Star Wars fan for 5 years. And I thought, motherfucker, there are people who have been Star Wars fans their whole life. Who are you?
I've been working hard being a Star Wars fan. Like,
I think that's what
it has been harder work.
No, he did. He absolutely said that. Okay. It was fucking hilarious. That guy's a douche anyway. Like he is just like I can't watch their stuff just because that guy is he's like one of these, he's like a Leigh Alexander kind of. He's got that kind of attitude where he's like kind of bullies everybody in the room basically because he's got to be the loudest. He's got to be the one that's right all the time. It's just like, it's so tiring. Like Peta said, he's a fucking man baby.
I mean, oh, good God. One of the funny anecdotes I heard about Disneyland and the Star Wars stuff. Blake Northcott tweeted about it a while ago. Where she went to the Star Wars shop and they were only selling the original trilogy merchandise. And she said
so hard.
And she said to one of the store clerks, "Why is there no new stuff in it?" And the clerk said, "Besides a couple of BB-8s and Porgs, none of it sells."
Yeah, that was interesting. I remember she tweeted that. I was like, "Wow, that is pretty telling." That is
it is. It's very telling.
Yep. No, and considering Disney spent a ridiculous amount of money building that area of the park, and again, the other complaint is you go in there, it's all the new trilogy stuff. It's none of the original trilogy stuff. And people basically go and take one look and it's like, but where's Leia and where's Luke? And, they want the original trilogy stuff. They don't want anything to do with the new trilogy stuff.
Yeah.
They even want the prequel stuff. They just don't want anything to do with the new stuff.
Yeah, at least the prequels were funny.
You know what?
Somewhat unintentionally, but sure.
I'll catch hell for this, but aside from Attack of the Clones, which was just terrible, like I liked Phantom Menace and I liked Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, I could sit
not even ironically like them. I actually, and I can look past the Jar Jar shits, like whatever. I enjoyed them. I had a lot of fun watching those.
Yeah, I can sit and watch those prequel stuff quite happily compared to this new stuff because this is where I didn't know about this term until a little while ago, but this is why the term Disneyfication exists. Is Disney get hold of something, they gut it, and they turn it into a soulless product, and that is what the new Star Wars feels like to me because I don't give a shit about any of the characters. I really don't.
Yeah,
like a really shiny Edgar suit.
Yeah,
Edgar suit or sugar.
All right, so
sugar water.
On to the Netflix content released so far this year. Obviously, it's not going to talk about all of it for sake of time, so I've covered the 4 ones that stood out the most for me. And the first was Unicorn Store. Now, this was a movie made in 2017, which I never heard of until this year when it suddenly became a popular Netflix exclusive.
Did you actually watch it?
No, I did not watch it. It wasn't
popular.
Yeah, exactly. They tried to make it popular because whenever I logged onto Netflix, it was the first thing they advertised to me. I kept thinking, fuck off. I don't want to watch this. And eventually Netflix seemed to get the hint. The funny thing is Larson was previously auditioned to be in the movie, but didn't get the part when it was first announced. Apparently, because they still wanted to make it 5 years later, she came back and she was asked to come back and direct. I don't know how that works.
Well, I actually bit the bullet and I watched part of it. I watched about 20 minutes of it, and it's terrible.
Yeah, the trailer was enough to throw me because I've never seen such a spoiled brat in all my life, and that trailer is a perfect example of it.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff Brie Larson's been in, and I don't think she's a good actress.
No, I don't either.
And that was the epitome of Brie Larson just being Brie Larson and not bothering to play a character.
Yeah, that was her just puffing her own butt up. She was just like, "Oh my God, I'm just so awesome! It's my movie, and I'm just the best. I'm the greatest, and everybody loves me." Yeah, sure. All right.
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah, sure.
Now, I've got no information on the budget. Reviews from critics were mixed at
$26.33.
Yeah, most likely. Critics rated it. I'll quote obviously Rotten Tomatoes, but obviously we can take a punch at that later on. Critics rated it 60%, fans 42%. But the best movie review quote was from Christy Puccio at IGN, and she wrote literally that the best thing about the movie was and I quote, "In the end, the best thing I can say about Unicorn Store is that it's only 92 minutes long."
Yeah. I remember that.
I love that shit.
I get a laugh out of that.
Yeah. And the next one is Love, Death, and Robots.
I've been meaning to watch that. How was
watch it? It's right.
Watch it. It is,
yeah, an animated anthology of many different styles. Apparently, it's a reimagining of a long in development reboot of heavy metal.
So it's an anthology then, right?
Yes, and it's fantastic. Yeah. There's so many different styles. You get something different every time. There's even a live action section, but it's brilliant. I loved it.
Kind of along the lines of like Robot Carnival and things like that.
Hang on, live action. Which one? What?
There was no live action. There was stuff that was extremely close, but it was not live action.
There was the one where they got the couple that had got the world inside their fridge.
Oh, that was half live action, half animated.
Yeah. But I thought it was fantastic, and services like this, I think this sort of stuff's perfect for. It was very interesting to watch.
They're apparently making another one, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Season 2 is in development, so I can't wait to see that.
And the overseeing director they've got for it, I'm really excited about, because I'm trying to remember why. But she's done some really good stuff. I think she's got a lot of anime stuff that. Anyway, I'll have to have a look up and see who's doing it. But I had a look at what she's done previously, and I'm like, ooh, okay, I really like you.
Yeah. And the next one, Triple Frontier. This was actually a pretty good action thriller. Starring Ben Affleck, Oscar Isaac, Charlie Hunnam, Garrett Hedlund, and Pedro Pascal.
Oh, is it the thing where they're like army guys or something?
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
I haven't seen that yet.
It's great. I've got. Let's see. No, again, because it's a Netflix thing, you get no information on the budget that it made it with. 72% critics, 56% fans, which I thought was odd, but it was co-written by Mark Bowl, who's behind The Hurt Locker. But not only I think was this a good movie, it was also, in my example, a good example of middle shelf entertainment. So it's nothing flashy, but it tells a solid story, and it's well directed and acted.
Yeah.
Just like the next one, The Highwayman, with Kevin Costner and Woody Harrelson, based on the retired Texas Rangers who tracked down and killed Bonnie and Clyde. Did get information on budget on this one, 49 million. 57% critics and 75% fans. I enjoyed it.
But we keep seeing the disconnect between critics and fans.
Yes. And for the movies I'm going to quote shortly, keep an eye on that disconnect, because it's massive in some cases. Those were good stuff from Netflix. And again, it's why I'm glad that I've got the service, because it does come across as mid-shelf entertainment, and it's perfect for a Saturday night in my opinion.
Right.
Sorry, just to go back to Love, Death, and Robots. I actually looked up the Series 2 overseeing director is Jennifer Yu Nelson, and filmography includes Dark City, Madagascar, Kung Fu Panda, but she's done a lot of different really good animation stuff. I'm like, I'm all about this.
Yes.
So I'm
good.
But it's still got David Fincher and Tim Miller overseeing it. So really, I'm really looking for the series. Anyway, let's go.
All right, so on to some of the movies that have come out so far this year, and we can't start with anything except Captain Marvel. Yeah. I had to take my daughter to see this because she wanted to see it at the cinema, and I didn't want my opinions to rub off on her, so I said, okay, I'll take you. And besides the fact that it was a very meh movie with a lead actress that looked like she didn't want to be there, it was so cobbled up from elements of other movies. I mean, she gets her powers from an alien-like device in an explosion. That's Green Lantern. Has memory loss, Wolverine. There's a dogfight in a mountain canyon. That's Independence Day. Invisible, like, space station in Earth's orbit. I think Men in Black did that. And instead of fighting a villain hand-to-hand, she shoots him. That's Indiana Jones. And even the deleted scene where she assaults a biker and takes his bike, that's Terminator 2. The guy even says, take it, in the same way as the biker does in T2.
Yeah.
But again, I didn't want to go into the movie hating it. I really didn't. I thought I'll give it a chance. But it was just so meh. I mean, my daughter enjoyed it, but I think she enjoyed it more for the cat.
Yeah. But that's what most people said, is the cat was the best character in the whole film.
Yeah.
And it smacks of, this was a movie that they were forced to make, I suspect, by the person who's running Marvel at the moment. Again, it just smacks of. You look at the head of Marvel Film at the moment, and she is an openly out there butch lesbian, and I'm not saying that to be derogatory. This is literally how she's described herself. This all smacks of she wanted that made, and everyone else. That's why it was in production hell for so long.
Yes.
Right. It was just. I don't think anyone else in the Marvel universe, in the industry, at Marvel Film wanted it. Except it was basically being pushed by the boss. Yeah,
and you could obviously tell also that it had a very feminist slant when it was written, because you got the cheesy lines of "it's called a cockpit for a reason." Danvers talking about her race as warrior heroes, which was, and then of course the origin of how Fury lost his eye, which I sat there and I nearly shouted "fuck off" at the screen, but I had to contain myself.
The whole wind up of
they emasculated Fury, something Fury.
The whole wind up that had from Avengers and that, him hinting at the whole, it was someone he trusted dearly, who basically turned on him and did this to him and left him for dead. Turned out to be the bloody cat.
Yeah. But of course, made on a budget of 175 million, it made 1.128 billion dollars. But that's because I think it was one of the most heavily marketed movies I've seen yet.
Well, hold on. It goes a lot deeper than that.
We'll get to that.
Much more nefarious.
The critics and fan score, when they eventually settled down on Rotten Tomatoes, is 78% critics and 55% fans. It's one of the lowest rated Marvel movies. But there were some very suspicious activities surrounding this movie. Such as group bookings for movie theater seats being booked online for numerous screenings, but nobody turning up for them, and refunds being requested afterward. People reporting on Twitter they were seeing large numbers of empty seats in screenings. And one guy spoke to his friend who managed the theater, and he spoke anonymously, and said he'd seen around 500 empty seats across 22 screenings. And the manager claimed he'd never seen anything like it in 20 years of running a theater.
So this sounds like it was Disney laundering the buddy.
Yeah, obviously this is circumstantial and theoretical. But for those who are doubting this, I'll point this out. Whenever someone in the story quotes anonymous trolls that shows no claim for it, this is another example of that. So it's still very suspicious.
And you can blame that for Rotten Tomatoes doing what it's doing now, which is not going to help them any.
No.
Which has already been proven.
Yes, because obviously...
we're going to change it up so only you have to basically show tickets bought through our systems to be able to review. So we can basically get rid of all those anonymous trolls.
Yeah, because they have obviously changed the want to see section, which led to claims for review bombing from the media, even though you can't do that to a movie on Rotten Tomatoes until it's been released.
Yeah,
the site's even altered its functioning, removing that want to see option, restricting user reviews, and claiming it wasn't. Claiming it wasn't to protect the movie, even though they deleted a large number of user reviews that bumped the audience score up from 31% to 55%, and blamed it on a glitch.
Well, even more than any of that stuff, though, you got to look at what Disney did.
Yes.
Aside from that, where they basically set it up so that there were no other movies available to be seen on the entire opening weekend, a 4-day Thursday through Sunday. They made it so that in a lot of movie theaters, they bought it out so that Captain Marvel was it. You couldn't go to another movie.
We had that down here in Australia as well, and this highlights again one of the huge problems with Disney being the massive monopoly that it is now. Because it's not just the fact that Disney does the movies, but Disney control the lion's share of movie distribution now, so they can use their market power to do this.
Right,
so Disney could say,
because there were also apparently efforts from Disney executives to mitigate any negativity towards the movie on the internet. YouTube even altered its search algorithm to suppress negative videos. And the journalist that were covering this were very suspicious. I mean, Sci-Fi Wire's Danny Roth admitted websites sometimes create fake news to maintain access to movie studios and celebrities.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and this is my favorite one.
Fucking shock.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, but this is my favorite one. This guy actually tweeted this. Rodrigo Perez, a journalist and editor-in-chief of The Playlist, tweeted, very sad and bummed to report that Captain Marvel did not do it for me at all. Could say much more, but don't want to feed the incels.
Yeah.
That's a great one, isn't
The
it?
new Boogeyman. The Boogeyman of the 2020s.
Yeah.
The problem here is, though, it's like the fact that Disney bought out all those theaters and stuff, it totally invalidates all the fucking earnings that movie has made or made. Because we can't, we'll likely never have an actual understanding of what the actual profits were from that, because you got to understand Disney literally bought out theaters to bump their numbers. So it's like that was part of their budget, their marketing budget, I guess you could say. So, it's likely that movie made, for all we know, that movie could have made only, $100 million or whatever it is.
I think the best way to know would be if the sequel comes out, to watch that one. That would be the key.
Well, there's going to be sequels for sure. Yeah. So that'll be telling you that absolutely it'll be.
We know for sure it bombed internationally because everywhere else wouldn't have a bar of it.
Yeah.
Of course, you got the Fandango site was offering free Captain Marvel tickets to anyone that spent $50 or over in their store.
Really?
And for those wondering, Fandango is owned by Paul Yanover, who's a former exec at Disney, and also Fandango owns Rotten Tomatoes. So make sure of that.
Yeah, right. But like I was saying earlier, though, you look like I've been going to the stores and like I've checked. The Blu-rays and the DVDs, they're not moving.
Yeah.
Like unless, like I said, that the people at Walmart are just being on their toes, just restocking as they go. That shit is just sitting there, just collecting dust.
And on to the next one, Endgame. Budget of 356 million has taken almost 3 billion at the time of the stream. Looks like it's going to outdo Avatar. Critic score 94%, fans 91%. Are we doing spoilers?
Well,
I think at this point.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you mind, Paul?
Yeah.
I think we're past like the official spoiler-free time that's accepted.
I mean, Paula, did you see this at all?
No, my husband and son went to see it.
And were they happy with it?
Yeah, but everything in the whole universe has been building up to it, so I should hope that it's ended better than Game of Thrones.
Well, I for one was satisfied with the ending. Scott, do you want to jump in here? Because I know you was looking forward to this.
I have literally been waiting a decade for this.
Yeah.
I have fantasized.
Oh God, you might need to rephrase that.
No, I haven't.
No, that's apt. That's apt. It's
fair enough. Yeah.
I have thought long. The funny thing was, it's like, and I don't know if we had ever talked about this. I know I talked about it with Mark and some other people before.
Yeah.
But I made my set of calls basically. I was like, well, this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. And granted, a lot of my ideas were informed because I've read the comics. I've been a comics fan and a Marvel fan since I was a kid, since the 70s. But I got everything right except for the one thing where Black Widow died. That is the only thing I didn't see coming. But I completely nailed what happened with Cap, and I was just like, fuck yeah! Oh,
well, I knew as soon as they were sending Black Widow and to that planet, I'm like, Black Widow's going to die, because I knew Scarlett Johansson she was done with the Marvel films.
Yeah.
So I'm like, knowing, I'm like, they're going to kill her off because
that too, but also logic dictated as like of all of them, she had nothing. Like she had them as a family, but that was it. She had nothing more beyond them.
Yeah.
Whereas Hawkeye, despite what he may have done and what he does, whatever else, he had a wife and children waiting for him. So no matter what, he still has someone outside the Avengers lot.
Right. Yeah. But my overall point, though, is that the Russo brothers and Kevin Feige and everybody else, they did the impossible.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a masterpiece as far as I'm concerned.
It really is. And like just like with James Gunn doing what he did with Guardians, like that just you could not fathom this. I mean, there's
10 years ago, like when Iron Man was coming out, I was like, Iron Man? I was like,
yeah,
fucking break, dude. This is gonna be terrible. And it's just like, it was a revelation.
Yeah,
I mean, I always loved Cap, but I hated Thor and I hated Iron Man and Guardians of the Galaxy. Get the fuck out of here! And like Iron Man was a revelation. It was like, holy shit, they did it. They made me actually give a fuck about a character I couldn't have given two shits about for the last 30 years of reading comics.
I mean,
and then they just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. It was
with
amazing.
And the thing is, Scott, it just means what comes next is going to be even more heartbreaking.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute.
With Iron Man, that was an example of the right people coming together to kick something off.
Yeah.
Oh well, and to further go into that just really quickly, the idea of the right people is like, it's funny. It's like people always talk about, well, why did DC film? Why did Marvel do so well? And it's like Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige is a guy with an encyclopedic knowledge of and love of Marvel Comics. Like, he knows these characters, he knows these worlds. Fucking Zack Snyder's just a fucking schmuck. He didn't know anything about
and if you look at the actors they've taken on, you look at the actors they've taken on for these roles from Marvel as well, they're people who actively basically pursued it, showed that they were willing to go and read as many comics as could be dumped in their laps, really wanted to do it right. Not just for this wasn't about them getting to play a certain role. It was about like, no, I want to play this role and I want to do it right and I want to do it good and I want to make the fans happy.
Yeah. I mean,
because that's fucking Star-Lord. It's like, that's not a fucking prestige role.
No.
Turned it into one. Holy shit.
Yeah, Chris Evans, he initially went for the Captain America role, and then once they sort of said about him getting it, he started panicking because he's like, I really want to do this, but I don't want to fuck this up. I don't want to make the fans angry. And he was really, really freaking out until Robert Downey Jr. basically grabbed him, dragged him aside, and like, look, just do your best.
Yeah.
Read up on the character, interpret him the best you can, and just do your best.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad they kept Captain Marvel.
Don't panic so much. You're good. You've got this. You're good. I know you can do this. Just get in there and give it a go. And if it doesn't work out, then I guess it's just not right for you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad they kept Captain Marvel to a minimum in this.
I'm glad she got bitch slapped out of the film at the end.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Our theater cheered when that happened.
Yeah, I mean, because didn't you say a bit in the beginning of the movie when she appears, there was some guy at the front that gasped?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We had we could hear the soy in his voice.
Yeah, we're literally, everyone's dead silent because you see like Tony Stark looks like he's about to cock at any second. Then she appears, and once the light clears, you hear this very loud from the very front of the cinema, and there's a dead silence for a moment. The people right next to the guy start laughing. Then the entire cinema is laughing, and you know they're laughing at him because nothing happening on screen is remotely funny.
Yeah. I mean, she got a good.
You could hear, like, seriously, just when you heard it, you just picture soy face. It was just, I've just turned to Peter and just gone, soy face.
Yeah.
We've just both started laughing.
I love the bit where she makes her entrance into the end battle and blows out Thanos' ship. Well, that was a cool moment. But I'm just so glad that she was kept to a minimum, though.
That moment still had me rolling my eyes, though. Which was like the whole, they're basically artillery striking the ground, and then the guns will start firing up. Like they're firing at something else, whatever could it be? And I'm like, oh no,
God, yeah.
And then her just basically barrel rolling through the ship like it's paper, and like.
Yeah, I enjoyed that bit. I thought it was okay. I mean, my two biggest criticisms of the movie were, first of all, that female empowerment scene near the end of the battle when they suddenly find the time to stop in the middle of this battle and take what looks like a selfie shot.
Well, it was a recreation of the cover of A Next, wasn't it?
No, I don't know.
Because the comic where it's all them on the cover, and it was just like when they showed that, I was like, holy shit, they're just doing that. They're doing that cover of like all the female characters in there.
Yeah, but the way it was done,
it
went from
there's
all battle going on. What the hell is this? What?
Yeah.
It drives you out the whole rush and the excitement.
Look at it like this. Look at it like this. Give them credit. Give them a lot of credit for the fact that they know that this was Cap and Iron Man and Thor's story. Yeah. So they kept all those other characters to a minimum because it wasn't their story. I mean, they were there, whatever, but they didn't. They had a small part, and they kept it to the people that it needed to be focused on. So
I also wished we could have had Angry Hulk back. I didn't like this new version.
Soy Hulk.
I didn't like it.
Oh, God, funny.
But on the
Soy Hulk, yeah.
But my favorite.
My first immediate thought was like, okay, you combine Banner and Hulk, and that's what you get. A stuttering,
it's
rambling soy boy.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. It's straight out of the comics, though.
I know, but it's like.
I know, but I've checked into that, and it's like, it wasn't a stuttering, fluffing soy boy.
Yeah. But I was happy with the ending. It was obviously sad that Iron Man died, but my favorite part was Old Man Cap sitting on the bench.
Oh, so good.
I loved that. I absolutely loved it, because especially where he passed his shield over. And where
I made that call too.
Yeah. And where he says to Cap, "You want to tell me about her?" Looking at his wedding ring, and he goes, "No, I don't think I will." And obviously, it cuts to him dancing with Agent Carter at the end, because it makes me laugh, because someone tweeted this picture. I know why Cap went back, and it's a picture, and it's a picture of Hayley Atwell in a dress from a side, and she's obviously not wearing a bra. It's like, yeah, well, shit, when you put it like that.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of showing side boob through mesh side of the dress.
Yeah. So I was happy with it, but now that's done, I'm out of the MCU. I won't be bothering with any more of their stuff.
Everyone is.
Everyone is, like, pretty much everyone who's been with the MCU since the beginning, and even people who've made the point of watching every single movie go, and thank you, Kevin Feige, and all the actors and everyone, I'm done now.
Yeah, because like Wombat said, I know what's coming next, and I don't want to see it.
Well, here's the thing. It's like, we got what we wanted. Yes. And I'm so happy about that. But I am curious to see what comes next. Because like, and again, like, not to belabor the point, but man, they've proved me wrong a lot over the last 10 years. Like, doing a lot of stuff that I never saw coming. I mean, I would have never thought of. But I am cautious. But I take that approach to everything.
But now they're already starting to audition. I think you've seen reports coming out that they're auditioning for Ms. Marvel.
Kamala Khan.
Yeah.
Right. So we're already starting to see it happening. They've said that Captain Marvel's going to be the focus of the next big MCU. Yeah. And everyone's just collectively rolled their eyes at that one.
I'm not too stoked.
No, I mean, obviously, each their own with stuff like this. But the only thing I'll say about it, I'll be interested to see the numbers, see who sticks around. That'll be the key to this.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
So on to the next one.
That's the thing, though. That's actually probably something to talk about at some point.
I think it will be. Yeah.
It's not. I don't think they're gonna be able to maintain the level of success that they have. I really don't. Because
I think you're right.
Just like if you I think it's really analogous to actual comics. Like if you look at what happened in comics, where like 4 or 5 years ago, or whatever it was, they started doing all this fucked up stuff and just pissing all over the fucking fans that had basically built them into what they are today. They're like, well, fuck you guys, we're just gonna fucking throw them out the window.
Well, the movies are now catching up and time scale.
There's kind of a possibility that it might be reflective of that happening in the movies, what happened in the comics. And
it is, because if you look at the time scale of what's happening in the movies versus the comics, they're a couple of years behind, but the time scale is catching up to when the shit started really, really backing up.
So the MCU is going to go into woke territory for the next big arc.
Yeah,
I mean, it's possible. It's definitely possible.
Yeah. And on to the next one then. And obviously that gap we talked about between critics and fans is a good example here. And that's Alita Battle Angel. I saw this with my son at the cinema, and it's a damn good movie. Budget of 170 million, made 404.9 million.
And it should have made more, except Marvel pulled it for Disney pulled it for Captain Marvel.
Right. Critics 60%, fans 94%.
Yeah, that's a pretty big.
And there did seem to be a very concentrated effort by certain sections of the media to stifle interest in this movie.
Oh man,
there were such articles published with titles like, and I quote, "Alita Battle Angel isn't the feminist movie you're looking for. How Alita Battle Angel found unlikely fans in MRA trolls. That's another one we get slung at us now. And this was my favourite one. The male gaze rules in Alita Battle Angel.
Dude, you know what's funny? You know what's funny about that? Because you would kind of hit on this earlier about people are like, well, you can't talk bad about the things because then they'll come off, which is really strange because there was obviously a very strong concerted effort to really fucking put a knife in the side of that movie.
Oh yes, apparently, and I can't quote the source. Oh, no, I can quote the source because it was a where was it? I think it was a World Class Bullshitters video that apparently some industry insiders had already labeled it a premature flop before it was even released.
Really?
And it did seem to me like there were people out there that legit wanted this movie to fail because it's a female character-led movie written by the great James Cameron and directed by Robert Rodriguez. So it's two men essentially in charge of this. And I think politics did want this movie to fail. I could be wrong, but that's what I think was going on.
Yeah.
Well, there's also, again, it was. I think there was also the concerted effort because it was going to be direct competition with Captain Marvel, right? Because it came out just before Captain Marvel did. So yeah, they wanted to deep six it, so it wouldn't compete with Captain Marvel at all.
Yeah.
And they did. I mean, well, they tried. They didn't exactly. I mean, just think what it could have been had there not been all that interference.
Yeah.
I mean, had they not like done the thing where they bought out the theaters and just had Captain Marvel in it, had they not like had all these people writing all these derogatory things about it, that's just crazy to me, man. This is one of the reasons why like I'm getting away from social media and I've just kind of written it all off because shit like this happens. And Twitter and Facebook and whatever the fuck other shitty ass platforms out there, they have too much power. There's too much possibility for fake accounts and people to gaslight people and do all this other kind of shit, and it creates this weird fucking fantasy world, and we see that it's real damage, like with Alita Battle Angel is a great example of that kind of damage.
Yeah, that only works if you take social media even remotely seriously, as opposed to just shit.
It does have an impact.
It does have an impact. Yeah, it does. I think it does.
Yeah.
All right. Should we do the next one?
Yeah.
And this one was a bizarre one. This was Shazam. A budget $100 million movie. Box office took 363. Critics and fans were pretty similar to 90% critics, 86% fans. But this was another one because it didn't seem to get the attention it deserved.
And everyone who's seen it just said it was good. It was a good superhero movie, but it was nothing special. It was just kind of middle of the road.
And
I think I think you're running into, again, oversaturation of the superhero film genre.
You know what? I don't know if it's oversaturation or if it's more the fact that people just don't know who Shazam was.
Yeah,
I think that's a good point.
Yeah, because the movie is it is incredibly charming. It is incredibly charming. It's got a huge heart. It's funny. It's just it's got a lot going for it. It's really it's again one of those kind of things. It's like really fucking Shazam. Like Shazam was like basically the same thing with Iron Man. It's like who fucking likes Shazam? Like I have a buddy who loves Shazam. Like he's a fucking freak though.
Yeah,
and it's like he's the kind of guy that you don't introduce to your other friends. But Shazam was great though.
I hope he doesn't get to listen to this.
I really hope he doesn't hear this.
He's not involved in anything that he would remotely get to this, but
damn.
But Shazam was such a surprise. It was so fun and so cute and charming. It was such a breath of fresh air because
they got the right guy to play him, didn't they?
They did. Fucking Zach Levi was great.
Yeah.
I mean, Mark Strong was great, and it wasn't like any of the other DC movies that were just terrible. All the DC movies have been fucking garbage. I mean, just Wonder Woman, granted. Wonder Woman was really good.
I really loved Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I disliked it as a history nerd. I'm sorry, but World War I infantry does not defeat the Bronze Age cavalry ever. Anyway.
All right, yeah. All right, on to the next one then. Hellboy.
Oh man!
It was tragic.
Garbage.
Yeah. Budget of
that
50
was
million.
a case of trying to put too many of the story points into one movie, then not knowing how to actually do it.
Yeah, budget of 50 million. Box office took 46. Critics 17%, fans 59. But this was apparently a good example of a lot of issues behind the cameras. Besides the fact, obviously, no Del Toro, Perlman, or Blair, or anyone from the original cast involved, and even Mignola kept his role to a minimum. Stories of fighting between the director and the producers. David Harbour even walking off at one point. The script being rewritten on set, and even McShane and Harbour wrote their own lines.
Oh no!
Yeah,
Really?
this sounded like a disaster from the get-go. And I think, Peter, you and I talked about this a while back, because even when the trailer aired, I looked at it and thought, no.
Yep.
Yeah.
God, the trailer was so bad. It was
It
such
was.
a
Yeah.
And also, that was not Hellboy at all.
No, it
I
wasn't.
just turning around, looking at our shelf, and it's just like, I got a very large chunk of that shelf full of Hellboy comics
Yeah. I mean, as
and
far as I'm
BPRD comics.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, Perlman will always be Hellboy. And I know we quoted Collider earlier, but they actually had him on, and he talked about it at one point. And he actually said, and I felt for him here, he said the fact that he couldn't get the third one made was a massive open wound in his chest that he still sports because of that. And I just thought, damn, I do feel for him here, because the way the second one ended, I wanted to see a third one. And I was pissed. I really was.
Yeah, and like I said, that was not that
No, it
particular
wasn't.
Hellboy was not Hellboy at
No.
all. He was too pretentious, too full of himself, too much of the bro. And the fact that I recognize points off from the stories that they were trying to put in there, and like each of those was a small novel in of itself. You cannot try to cram all that into one movie. Hence why it was a hodgepodge mess that made no sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the thing about Hellboy is, I know this is not a popular opinion, but
No, go on.
I didn't like the first two Hellboy movies. I didn't think that they were very good movies. I think that they were two of the most beautiful movies ever made, because
I agree with you on that.
Staff are just, the production that went into those movies is phenomenal. Just absolutely stunning, just gorgeous. You don't see that. I mean, you do not see the level of production that went into those films. But I just don't think they were good movies, though. But when you look at the thing that caught me just immediately when I saw that trailer, I was like, Jesus Christ, this is ugly. This is terrible. The production on this is just fucking garbage. Like, nothing about that looked good. Nothing about it looked like Hellboy. It looked like, you know what it looked like? It looked like the Chinese Whispers version of Hellboy, basically. Like, what is Hellboy? Oh, Hellboy's this. Wait, here now. What is Hellboy? It's like you've gone through, like, it's like a fucking 10th generation Betamax of Hellboy, basically, is what it looked like to me. And I was just like, ooh, this is gonna be bad. This is gonna be really
See, my main thing with the Hellboy universe is what was very tragic is, if you ever get a chance, look up Hellboy animated. They made 2 animated films.
Yeah.
Yep.
They had the Ron Perlman and
They essentially had the entire cast from the movie do the voices of the characters, and they were what should have been.
Oh, for sure.
They're a bit. They're sort of kiddied up a little bit. They're not nowhere near as like balls of the balls violent as the other ones could be, but they're still very well told. They're still really good.
It does seem like a very mishandled franchise on the whole. Because it makes you remember they brought out a game for it on the Xbox 360 a few years ago. But then I started seeing reports of people saying to me, "Don't buy it," and I said, "Why?"
Oh,
yes, this is in.
Yeah, it turned out they'd put achievements in the list for the DLC, but then they never released the DLC, so you couldn't get the achievements for it.
Well, in a lot of respects, unfortunately, that falls on the creator himself.
Yes.
Because he's very wishy-washy about keeping control of things and all that. And he actually, the first movie, he drove Del Toro nuts to the point that Del Toro wanted to grab him and strangle him, because Del Toro kept saying, I want to do this right. I want to do these characters right. I want to do this world you've built justice. Am I doing this right? He's like, you do your thing. I'll tell you if it's going wrong. He's like, no.
Yeah.
Am I going the right direction? Is this growing into what's yours? Well, yeah, it's okay. Like, no, am I doing anything wrong here? Oh well, no, not really.
Yeah.
He said, I liked working with you. He said, but you drove me nuts for the fact that you never give me a straight answer when I was trying to establish with you, am I doing the characters right? Am I building the world right? Does this look right? I'm trying to emulate your style. Am I doing it right? And just getting a lot of, yeah, okay, yeah, I guess so. Oh, whatever you like.
Being all wishy-washy.
So unfortunately, that's why it tends outside the comics and outside of his control, it tends to be very hit and miss because he's very wishy-washy on that.
Yeah. On to the next one. Pokemon Detective Pikachu.
I love that. That was so fun.
You can take center stage of this one then, because I took my daughter to see this also. And I don't know about you, but I know jack shit about the Pokemon universe, besides there's a little yellow one called Pikachu.
Well,
what did you think to this?
Well, my kids have watched the Pokemon cartoon forever, but they've only recently got into the TV gaming.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like jokes that carried over from the cartoon, like the Snorlax falling asleep in the middle of the road, and a lot of stuff that they caught on. I just went in there and I enjoyed all the scenery. I thought all the Pokemon were well animated.
They were, yeah.
They all looked good. They all looked like they were really in the world. I thought the beginning of the movie was really cringy.
Okay.
But once the story got rolling, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. And I'll give Ryan Reynolds his dues. He did a great voiceover for Pikachu.
Oh yeah.
But I mean,
when he's singing the original theme song.
Yeah, but, I mean,
that was great.
There was even the joke which flew over the kids' heads, where he says to the main character, "I usually don't bring people back to my apartments like this, but I'll make an exception for you." And I thought, hang on. But no, it was well animated. It was a fun story. I spoke to my daughter afterwards, and I said, "Did they get the Pikachus and Pokemons all right?" And she went, "Yeah, they were fine." I don't know. I don't know this shit, okay? But
Pokemon.
The Pokemon.
I'll fuck a lot of you.
I wish I'd been a fly on the wall when you'd said Pokemon to your kid, just to see her eye twitch. It just would have been like.
Look, I don't know this. Oh, this was me doing parent duty, right? So fuck off. Anyway,
just such a dad thing.
You did being a dad.
Yeah,
you did the dad thing.
Yeah, but a budget of 150 million. It made 421. Critics 66, fans 82. So there's another gap there, which was noticeable.
Yeah, I think it's just critics hating on it because they want to be edgelords. Like, it's popular, therefore we're going to hate it.
Yeah,
it was perfectly acceptable kids movie.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that totally.
Here's the problem though. It's like critics are doing a job and they have criteria when they're looking at stuff, and they're obviously not all fans, so they don't have that kind of luster in their eyes when they're looking at a property like Pokemon. So I think you're always gonna have them being like, oh, whatever, it's a goofy kids movie, bro.
Yeah,
but it was well done.
Yeah, it's just like it also, again, when I was seeing the critics going on about it, it's just that they were pissing and moaning about it because it was popular, and it was like, yeah, it's just like, yeah, guys, just have a little bit of impartiality. Just, yeah, it's a kid movie. It does what's advertised on the box. Just, again, don't hate on it for just because you want to get points with your edgelord friends. That's what it came down to.
Right. Yeah.
And you know what though? And this brings up another point though, is that, with the whole DIY thing, it's like when you look at YouTube and you look at people making their own content, and you have people that aren't like critics per se, but they're creating videos where the fans are actually talking about this stuff. You can actually get great opinions from people who aren't critics now. Yeah. Because that is available. That's great.
Well, until the YouTube channel gets demonetized and banned,
which it inevitably will.
Yeah, because they said no, we only want you to listen to the critics, so we're banning everyone else. It's like,
oh, God, dude, tell me about it. Oy.
Okay, on to the next one. Godzilla King of Monsters. Budget 200 million, box office 344 million. Critics 40%, fans 83.
Critics can eat a dick.
Yeah.
It's again. This is again. People went for a kaiju movie. You want to see two kaiju slapping the shit out of each other for 2 hours. Because the main critic complaint was there's not enough of the human drama story. No one's here for that. Go away.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't seen it, but were there monsters?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Lots
then
and
did
lots
what it
of
was supposed to do.
monsters. Yeah, lots and lots of monsters beating the ever loving shit out of each other.
Right.
But
Well, there,
sadly,
it got the job done.
yeah, but sadly, it's seen as a failure because apparently it only took 49 million in its opening weekend, which was less than the first Godzilla, and then Kong Skull Island, which it's tied into. Apparently, reasons for this quote-unquote failure were too long of a wait for the movie between that and the first one, and much of the audience had fallen away, and also because there was seemingly more of a focus on the human characters.
You know what?
Humans are
Here's the
boring. I
thing,
want to
though.
see monsters.
Yeah.
Here's the problem, though. Godzilla has classically, it's never been anything more than a niche audience when you look at the United States. I mean, I don't know how it is like in Britain and other places, but in the US, it is very much a niche thing. It's kind of like
in the West,
Kung
it is.
Fu movies on Sundays.
Yeah.
It's like there's an audience there, but we're talking about a niche audience. So I always thought that them trying to make this into a big deal was always a very odd thing. It's like
it was always going to be doomed to fail.
Yeah, like I mean, in 1988, they didn't really help the cause by making the fucking Godzilla movie with Matthew Broderick. I think that's still, because they tried to turn that into a blockbuster and it flopped magnificently because it was a fucking terrible movie.
Yeah.
And when they try and do something like this where they're making a grittier version, a more dark version of something that people already really don't give a fuck about, I mean, it's kind of honestly, it's a foregone conclusion.
Yeah.
Kong Island was it was whatever.
Yeah.
It's honestly not very good. I mean, even as far as like monster movies go, it's not very good.
And the case of Brie Larson sucking as an actress, because a lot of people go, "You didn't realize she was in that," and so many people go, "She was."
Well, I mean, Christ, the only high point in there was Tom Hiddleston. Honestly, he's the only thing that really brought any kind of light to that movie whatsoever.
Because Larson has that hilariously bad line in that movie where someone says to her, "Are you a photographer?" She says, "No, I'm an anti-war photographer." And you think,
God, she's so cringy and everything.
Yeah.
She really is.
But I mean,
and the Godzilla movie, just real quick, the Godzilla movie before this that predated this one also is just kind of a meh movie.
Yeah,
it's weird that they're choosing to try and make these things into a thing. It's always kind of strange to me because they're not. I don't see them as having mass appeal. I just don't. It doesn't make sense to me. It never has.
Yeah, because I saw an analysis of the first Godzilla movie. And besides the fact that Godzilla was in it for about 5 fucking minutes, they made a massive mistake by killing off Bryan Cranston near the beginning. No,
it's like what?
Yeah, you don't kill off Walter White, not like that.
Yeah, everyone.
He was the big draw.
A lot of people that went for it basically like, "Oh, he's gonna be in so awesome."
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That was the thing that really caught me off guard. I was like, "Wait, hold on! They just killed off the main fucking character. What?"
Yeah.
That was very strange.
Subversive.
Yeah,
they're subverting expectations.
But you got Godzilla versus Kong, which is apparently due out next year. I don't think it's going to be good for that.
Do you think it's even going to release?
I think it will fail. That's my. I don't want.
I don't think it's even going to release. I wonder if they're like as badly as this did. I think they're probably going to rethink it.
Well, filming has been completed, so. If they do waste it, there'll be a hell of a waste. So I think they've got to release it to try and make some money back.
But
I don't think it's going to work. I don't want it to fail. Don't get me wrong, because I love monster movies. But I don't think it looks good. I really don't.
I just don't think, like I said, I just don't think there's an audience for this kind of stuff. Like,
no.
It really it's always been an odd thing for me when they started like saying that they're going to do this. I was like, really? Why? Nobody wants this.
Yeah.
I mean, the people that do are few and far between. Unfortunately. So,
all right. Next one, Dark Phoenix.
God.
Yeah.
I want to see this so bad.
Yeah.
I want to see it so bad.
Budget of 200 million. Box office took 207 million. Critics 23%, fans 64%. This looked like a shit show from the get-go. And another case of where I saw the trend and thought, no. Multiple reshoots and delays in release, which looked to cost the studio over $100 million in losses. and it's the ending of the franchise as we know it under Fox, because obviously
Fox,
Disney owns it now. Yeah.
Mm.
That's
Ironically,
a big mouse now.
Yeah, ironically, that's their attempt at remaking X3, which I'll say for the record, I had no problems with. I liked it, but ironically, yes, I did. I had no problems with it.
All right.
But ironically, it took 200 million less than X3 did.
Yeah.
And
you know what? I think the last time we were on, we talked about this very briefly, and I think I remember saying if it wasn't here, it was definitely somewhere else. I was like, Disney needs to shelve this and never release it, and I bet they're kicking themselves in the ass right now.
Yeah,
like I think this did a lot of damage.
It
was shelved, and then it seemed to be a case of. No. Someone's come along and go, no, we need to get this out there. We need to push it out. But it was never going to be released. It was already pretty much shelved, even before the merger. And someone's basically gone, nope, get it out there, put it out. We've got to make money on this. We've got to get something out of it.
Because I mean, this for me is a perfect example of Hollywood not knowing when to leave stuff alone. Because as far as I'm concerned, they should have ended this whole thing with Logan.
Oh yeah, for sure,
and
absolutely.
The last decent X-Men movie to be made, as far as I was concerned, was Days of Future Past. Because I watched Apocalypse and I didn't like it.
Apocalypse is terrible.
Yeah, I hated the guy they got to play Cyclops because he was two different characters in that movie. One minute he was a shy kid, next minute he was an idiot.
Yeah, I didn't like Ready Player One, whatever his name is.
I didn't like the guy they got to play Nightcrawler. I think and. Olivia Munn, fuck off. And
agreed.
And Sophie Turner, I don't like her. I think she's a shit Phoenix, and I think this one was
a bad actress.
Yeah, I mean, take people like her outside the Game of Thrones, and she just doesn't do any good. Same with Emilia Clarke. But I just, again, the trailer was enough to put me off this. And it was amusing because even Lauren Shuler Donner, who was the original producer of the first few X-Men movies, said in a tweet, which has now been deleted, that she had nothing to do with this movie. And I can't say as a blamer.
I'll go back a little bit further than even you. I think the last good X-Men movie, Logan notwithstanding, was First Class. I loved First Class. I thought it was great. And Days of Future Past, I was lukewarm on it. I was just like, it was fine. And then the Road Cut, I liked that a little bit more, but still, I haven't
seen the Road Cut. I have never got around to seeing it.
It's good. I mean, it's better. I think it makes more sense to me anyway.
Yeah.
Than the one that they released with Kitty Pryde and all that kind of garbage.
Yeah.
So it's just
it's also got a massive continuity issue with this one, and I'll do a spoiler here because honestly, I don't care. Obviously, these are prequel movies, but yet they kill Mystique in it.
Yeah.
And it's like, hang on a minute.
Well, I think you know what I kind of attribute that to. I think Jennifer Lawrence wanted out of it, and if there was a possibility that they were going to be going forward with more movies, I think she wanted out. Like, apparently, from what I've read, she was pretty much checked out through this whole thing. Was just phoning it in. Dark Phoenix.
She's been a bit of a prima donna with that as well. She basically kicked up such a stink that the reason you see her in full costume, like actual dress costume, and only her hands and neck and face done up, is because she kicked up such a massive stink about the time it took to do the makeup that they just eventually kowtowed to her and fine.
Yeah.
You wear stuff like everyone else, even though your entire body can change.
Dude, I don't know, man. I don't give her any grief for that. I wouldn't want to sit in a fucking chair for 12 hours putting on all that bullshit. Fuck that, dude.
Yeah, I'll give her some juice for that, because obviously, that amount of time sat in the chair with makeup all over you. No.
I know, but it's also in her pushing we need to change from X-Men to something else because Men is so outdated.
Oh, that was hideous. I saw that line, I just groaned.
And she was jamming that something fierce, even with the premiere stuff, to the point that people were rolling their eyes like, "Can you just stop?"
Did she not get a third grade education?
But interestingly, the director Simon Kinberg has taken full blame for the movie's failure, which I thought was interesting of him. But apparently he did have issues with Disney taking over this whole series, because there's apparently a scene in the movie where the characters are trapped in the train car, held at gunpoint by a Spec Ops group called the MCU. Yeah, I learned that today, and I had to say, if that's true, I find it hilarious.
That's fucking great.
Yeah. And to the final movie, and I think we did call this one a little bit when we talked about it briefly last year, was Men in Black International. Yeah.
The trailers alone turned me off that film.
Yeah, the trailers alone were nothing short of cringe-worthy, but we'll get to that in a minute. Budget 110 million, box office 111 million, critics 23%, fans 65. This one seems similar to Dark Phoenix. Multiple script rewrites, new pages arriving on the set daily. Hemsworth and Thompson even hired their own dialogue writers. The director,
really,
wow. The director, Gary Gray, he tried to leave the production several times, but was convinced to stay
They locked him in a room.
Yeah. and then you've got the stories of Tessa Thompson requesting the name changes to be something more, and I quote, inclusive. I mean, obviously we talked about this last year because Wombat's made his feelings known on the trailer. But we called this one. We did call this one.
Oh man.
Yeah, basically with the trailers, when the trailers had woke Mary Sue going, "Oh, I am this magical girl who could find the MIB headquarters. No matter how many times you neuralize me, you have to let me join." And MIB going, "Okay, here's your man candy, who's going to be your your meat shield." I just like the trailers. Just like I'm just like, eh. Yeah. The trailers, the fact that they had the whole Men in Black, and she's just looked at it and gone, "Oh yes, we're working on changing that." And I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Just, nope. They're just nope. Not doing it.
Yeah, my impression from the trailers is that they just bits and pieces of leftovers from the first Men in Black and just scrambled it up and put some barbecue sauce on that and sold it in a bun.
Worst barbecue sauce ever.
But
feminist barbecue sauce or something. I don't know.
But
the general consensus I got from all the people I watch on YouTube that have gone to see it is they liked the main characters, they gelled well and whatever else, and some of the secondary characters they really liked. It was just the story had about as much depth and substance as an empty kiddie pool.
Because apparently they made this, they wanted to try and save money by not having back Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones, who obviously made the damn franchise.
Yeah.
And this is the result.
Well, that on top of the fact that everyone's primary complaint is there was no villain as such, and the story was just such weak sauce all over the place that there was nothing to latch onto to enjoy.
Yeah,
the only good things were the banter between the main characters, which was the highlights. But other than that, it's like there was nothing else there.
Yeah, that's basically stuff that I've read about it too. Is that there's a lot of chemistry between Thompson and Hemsworth, but there was no vision. There was no clear lead on this kind of thing. It just kind of floundered under its own weight. Basically, is what I've read about it, which just kind of sucks because
it does.
Men in Black 2 is a bad movie. It is just a fucking terrible movie. But Men in Black 1 and 3 are actually Men in Black 1 is fucking amazing. It's
God, yes, yeah.
And Men in Black 3 is actually another movie that's it's got a lot of heart. It's cute. It's funny. It's and it's good. It feels like a Men in Black movie. It fits well into that universe. So I was kind of skeptical about this to begin with. And then, you start reading all that kind of stuff, and it's like, oh boy, this is probably bad. And it's kind of sucks because it's such a good franchise, and there's so much possibility for good stuff there. If you have people that are actually invested in it, that are actually have a good creative vision and actually see it through. But you got Pethead said, and everybody else said, it's like there are just numerous production problems with this film. So
yeah, I mean, it's a great example for me of stuff I've said before that. It seems there's a massive lack of creativity in the entertainment industry as a whole, where they can't make anything new. So they got to drag the old stuff out of the archives and do something for that. I mean, when was MIB 3 released?
Quite a while ago.
Yeah.
God.
So
let's find out.
I find it's a case of they don't want to try. They're afraid to try.
I think that's a factor as well. But It's
it
starting,
absolutely is.
Yeah,
because there's so much money tied up in all these kind of things. Like if they've had success with a name brand, they're going to try and rekindle that success, because obviously the movie industry is fraught with potential just complete fuckery. Like you can shut down a studio because one movie just completely tanks. Like fucking Sony tanked with the year of Ghostbusters remake, where they lost fucking however many hundreds of millions of dollars on that and all the other garbage they put out that year.
But I say Sony's tanked because everything they've been putting out has been absolute garbage.
Not just that one movie was the nail. Terrible.
Yeah.
But I mean, that particular year though, they lost just fathoms of money because of Ghostbusters and like just a myriad of like Sausage Party, I think was one of the other things they put out. It's like
the Emoji Movie actually.
the
Emoji Movie was the one that made them the most money that year.
Yeah. 2012 is when Men in Black.
Okay, so that's too long of a wait for a sequel. I think that was a factor as well with it, because obviously I remember when Sin City 2 came out, besides the fact that it was shit, it was too long. Besides, it was too long of a wait between that and the first one, which I think was a great comic book movie.
Oh, Sin City 1 was fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my god, it's brilliant. That was another one of those movies that was kind of like, holy shit, they did it.
Yeah,
they fucking did it.
Yeah.
Again, right people put together for the right movie or the right project can do well.
Exactly.
So, with the last stream, we finished with a debate on crunch culture, and I thought we'd do the same on this stream with a different subject, obviously, and that's a debate on trailers. Now, as you've noticed throughout us talking with these different subjects, we talk about the trailers a lot, and you get the folks that say don't judge a movie based on its trailer, give the film a chance. But obviously, what's a trailer for in the first place? So my question to everyone is, can we nowadays properly judge a movie or TV show by their trailers, given the quality of entertainment we're now getting?
Usually, yes, but there are exceptions. There have been some films that have had terribly edited trailers that have actually been really good films. There's been a few, there's been a few good Bad Flicks episodes about movies that usually the movies end up being cult movies, because the initial trailer was just really badly done, but it actually turned out to be a really good film. And most films will overcome that problem once word gets out that it's actually good.
Yes.
Yeah, I've noticed that DreamWorks has that problem. With their trailers. Their trailers are terrible. I mean, but then the movies, like Despicable Me and How to Train Your Dragon, those turned out to be really so much better than the trailers.
Okay.
Well, and How to Train Your Dragon didn't suffer from fucking anything really. Those things made a ton of money.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Another problem that seems to be getting worse in some respects is giving too much away in the trailer.
Yeah.
It's like I was watching someone's analysis yesterday on Us, and why it worked as a movie, but as a horror movie, it kind of shot itself in the foot.
Yeah.
And they made the point during that, and it's like you gave away the big point in the bloody trailer.
Yeah, because they made
with the fact that there was a second family that were identical to the current one you're following. It's like that should not have been in the trailer.
Bad. Yeah, you got to see the big bad. You ruined this.
That should have been left to be the big shocker of like, who are these people? Then you see them like, wait, but that's the family.
Yeah,
but they put it in the trailer.
Because they made that mistake with Terminator Genesis. Because again, even though it was a shit film,
oh god, there's so many mistakes there. Not just the.
Well,
come on, Justin.
Yeah, I know. I'm just using the example because I remembered it. But the point where they reveal that John Connor's a Terminator as well, like put that in the trailer. But, I mean,
it wasn't John Connor. It was the guy that was helping them out. That was basically being their guide and trying to help them get into things. That was turned out to be the Terminator. He didn't know.
No. You're thinking.
You're thinking of some. Yeah,
no. That's Salvation.
That's
Salvation. Yeah. That's Christian. Not Genesis. Genesis is the one with the fucking.
Sorry, say that again.
Genesis.
Genesis.
No, Genesis.
Genesis.
Vaginas.
Because obviously one of the trailers which took a lot of heat this year was a TV trailer, and that was the Batgirl trailer.
You mean the Batwoman?
Oh, whatever.
Ruby Rose?
Yeah.
Oh god, that sucks so bad.
I mean, where do I even start with that? I mean, well, no, I can't get the words out. It was. I watched it and it was so cringeworthy that seeing it review bombed on YouTube didn't surprise me in the slightest.
Yeah,
that trailer fucking sucked.
Yeah,
holy shit.
That's gonna be a
But
case
hang on,
of-
it sucked, but it was accurate.
I'm about to say
Well,
it's
yeah.
going to be one of those cases of one of those trinity trailers for another TV show that turns out to be horribly accurate.
Yeah. Pretty much.
But is it fair these days to look at a trailer now and go, nah, given the way stuff's coming out?
I take it as a case of I'll look at the first trailer, but I'll hold judgments. Like once you give me a second or third that are slightly differently cut,
Yeah.
and I'll start considering, like, start making my opinions
Yeah.
on whether it's something I might be interested in or not.
Mm.
Because I come across a few, they're basically the first trailer I've gone, that looks like a mess. But then they've had a second or third that's been more concise and like, okay, that's actually put it together more in an interesting way that actually gets my attention. And like, okay, that's now I'm interested to hear more about that.
Yeah. Because I remember seeing the trailer for Logan when they first brought that out, and it genuinely got me excited because they showed Laura, but they didn't show her popping her claws. So when she does it in the movie, it's like, oh, here we go. And sure enough, she was shredding people left, right, and center. But that trailer was the last time that I fully emoted to a trailer, and that's been a while now.
You know, here's something I talked about earlier was the fact that there's so much money at risk when we're talking about modern filmmaking and movie making.
Yeah.
And what the problem that I see is that I think trailers are largely unreliable witnesses, basically. Like, and if you look at things like Guardians of the Galaxy is a prime example of something that came out. They created this trailer that was kind of groundbreaking. And it set a tone that everybody started aping. Suicide Squad aped it. Hellboy fucking aped it. They did the same thing. They took these, they tried to make this hip, kind of cool, funny trailer and put all this fucking goofy, eclectic music from the 70s and this, that, and the 80s and whatever in there. And they created this tone. And you have a problem where that is one aspect of the problem with trailers. That's a thing that people have glommed onto, and all the trailers start looking like that. And then you have another set of trailers that's like the action movie trailer. You've got this template that they put together and and you got to hit certain beats, and you got to be this long, and you got to have this special, whatever the song is that gets people involved because it's popular in the top 40, yada yada yada. Yeah. So I think when we talk about unreliable narrators, I think is a good way to describe what trailers have become now, because like movies, there's so much risk involved in them that they are unreliable for the large part. I mean, you look at like a great movie that I fucking love, Galaxy Quest. That movie is a fucking classic, and it has grown. It has like since its release, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, or whatever it was, it has grown in popularity because people actually see it, because it was marketed so poorly when it came out, and it made money, granted, but it could have been a lot better had the marketing been better and more focused for. Same with Iron Giant is another great example of the trailers and the marketing of it was really failed the movie. But like now, like I said, it's just like we have trailers that are just unreliable witnesses. They're unreliable narrators, if you will. And they have to meet they have to hit certain beats to make the studios happy that they're gonna make their money off of it, because they create this certain tone that's popular and gets people excited, and it just kind of sucks.
It does. I mean, when I went to see Endgame in the cinema, they showed the trailer for the latest Star Wars movie that's coming out, and usually in the cinema you can hear a rustle of some sort of reaction, be it negative or positive. Yeah. And when it finished, it was just silent. And I thought, well, that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the initial trailer was kind of like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
I mean, there really wasn't anything there to kind of put your teeth into either.
No. I mean, obviously the bit where she's getting chased by the ship, like, why isn't the ship just shooting her? Why is it going to ram her? That makes sense.
Yeah, because it's Poe. It's fucking Poe. She's practicing. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's just like,
anyway, that's another thing.
Why? Yeah. So
but how's the general audience supposed to know that?
Yeah,
that's that's the thing. It's exactly when you look at that trailer, it's a bunch of disparate images and stuff going on. It's like, wait, what does this mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a bad case of disjointed stuff put in there because it looks cool, but it ends up leaving you sitting there going, okay, what was all that meant to be?
Yeah,
but why?
Because it also reminded me of Rogue One. There were shots in that trailer that were never in the final movie.
They make the final cut.
Yeah,
that's another bad thing. A lot of the people are doing of late. Like, it's a fault for the movie studios themselves because the trailer companies, they get sent a whole heap of stuff and they're like, piece this together into a trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's houses that like, actually make trailers.
Yeah, this looks good. We'll chuck that in there. And the actual movie comes out and it's like, turns out half the stuff they were given to make the trailer didn't make the final cut. So that
like
again
Jyn Erso up on the tower fighting the TIE fighter.
That again has the disparity between trailer and movie when the studios do that.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, I got into it with someone who said I should judge a certain movie on its trailer, but I think you have to nowadays because we, the consumer, we're getting charged more for this stuff now. I mean, in my cinema, they've actually had a price drop in the tickets, which I think is great. But once upon a time, I had to pay almost £10 to get a movie ticket.
Shit, I remember when it got up to as high as like 15.
Yeah. So I don't think it's very consumer friendly, these trailers anymore. So you have to be careful with them.
You know what though?
You don't want to be Australian.
Yeah. Here's the thing though. It's like there's so many avenues available to us now to actually look into these things that it's kind of, it mitigates it to a small degree. It's not perfect, obviously, you know, but still we have tools available to us that we can actually look into these kind of things and, you know, educate ourselves, I guess is the best way to say it.
Yeah, I think so.
Being in Australia, once again, being the butt of everything when it comes to exchange rates and just the cost of things.
Right.
When it comes to movies, we're looking at usually about $18 a ticket.
Wow.
Standard ticket. Nothing special.
Yeah.
So you try to reason that out. It's like, you better give me a freaking great experience for me to fork out $18 and nothing more.
Because, I mean, I always remember the Venom trailer where they took their time actually showing the symbiote. And I thought that was a very bad choice on their part. But when they finally did show it, I thought, all right.
The trailer was so fucking terrible.
Yeah, but I mean,
God, the first one with the motorcycles flying through the air, I was like, "Oh, come on!"
Yeah, but at least they showed that they actually they made him look actually like the Venom from the comics and not that fucking Topher Grace version, which I still chills thinking about.
Oh God! Yeah. You know what? That you know what's funny? It's like the Topher Grace that's Spider-Man 3. I actually I think that basically is the Jar Jar Binks of the Spider-Man essentially. Seriously, if you I think the Spider-Man 3 and Phantom Menace are very analogous to one another. It's like I didn't hate Spider-Man 3. I know it's an unpopular opinion. I actually thought it was fucking funny.
Yeah.
But I see all its warts. I see all the problems with it. But it's kind of like Phantom Menace. It's like I just ignore Jar Jar Binks and I just ignore a lot of the dumb shit that was in Spider-Man 3 because it's very much the same kind of thing where Topher Grace is fucking Jar Jar, essentially. So,
all right, I think we're ready to wrap this up. Okay, wrap up. Right. Well, thanks very much for joining us for this mid-year stream, Creators Talking. Special thanks to Wombat, Scott, Peter, and of course Paula for joining me. Cheers, guys, and hopefully see you at the end of the year.
Okie dokie.
Hoi hoi.
See ya.
All right, take care, everyone. See you soon.
All right, bye.
Bye.
It was wonderful talking to y'all.
Woo.